The House will come to order. Members, please take your seats. Head page.
The House is now in session. All persons not entitled to privileges of the floor, please retire to the gallery.
The members will rise and be led in prayer by Reverend Jason Knight, pastor, Mount Olive Baptist Church, Virginia Beach, and remain standing for the Pledge of Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, which will be led by the delegate from Alexandria, Delegate Herring.
Honorable Speaker, delegates, distinguished members of this House, let us pray. Eternal and sovereign God, the one who rules above every nation and yet sees every heart, we pause in this chamber of authority to acknowledge the greater authority of heaven. Your word declares that righteousness exalts a nation. And so today we ask that righteousness will guide every vote, every debate, and every decision made in this House. We ask that you would grant these leaders wisdom greater than politics, courage greater than pressure, and integrity greater than ambition. In a moment when our world wrestles with conflict, when families feel the weight of rising costs, and when decisions made in this room move and ripple across communities, steady their minds, strengthen their hearts. Help them remember that the power entrusted to them is not merely the power of rule, but the responsibility to serve. Give them clarity when issues are complex, patience when debates are intense, unity of purpose when the pressure of partisanship try to divide. Let them seek not only what is popular, but what is right. Let them legislate not only today's headlines, but for tomorrow's generation. Where there is division, plant understanding. Where there is fear, release discernment. Where there is pride, awaken humility. Where there is uncertainty, send wisdom that rises above human insight. Remind us, O God, that the strength of a nation is measured not only by its economy or its armies, but by the justice it pursues, the compassion it shows, and the truth it upholds. Bless this Commonwealth of Virginia. Bless every delegate who serves here and the families who support them. Guide this body so that what is decided in this chamber will advance peace, protect the vulnerable, strengthen our communities, and secure a hopeful future for this nation. And now may wisdom preside, may justice prevail, and may your favor rest upon this House and upon this Commonwealth. In your holy name, Jesus, we pray. Amen.
Amen. The members will answer the roll call by indicating their presence on the electronic voting board. Clerk will close the roll.
Mr. Speaker, a quorum is present.
Pursuant to House Rule 3, I have examined and approved the Journal of the House of Delegates for March 9, 2026. Motions and resolutions under Rule 39 pursuant to the provisions of Rule 40 are now in order. Does the clerk have any announcements or communications?
Yes, sir. Both, Mr. Speaker. The Senate, communication from the Senate. The Senate has insisted on its amendments and requested a committee of conference on House Bill 894.
The delegate from Alexandria, Delegate Herring.
Mr. Speaker, I move that the House accede to the request of the Senate for committees of conference on the previously reported legislation.
Delegate from Alexandria, Delegate Herring, moves that the House accede to the Senate's request for committees of conference on the previously announced legislation. As many in favor of the motion will say aye. Those opposed, no. The motion is agreed to.
In another communication from the House, Mr. Speaker, the Senate has rejected the House amendments to the following legislation: Senate Bills 620, 645, and 688.
Delegate from Alexandria, Delegate Herring.
Mr. Speaker, I move that the House insist on its amendments and request committees of conference on the previously reported legislation.
Delegate from Alexandria, Delegate Herring, moves that the House insist on its amendments and request committees of conference for the previously announced legislation. As many in favor of the motion will say aye. Those opposed, no. The motion is agreed to.
Mr. Speaker, appoints on behalf of the House various conference committees as we approach Thursday's deadline. For House Bill 75, the Speaker appoints on behalf of the House's conferees Delegates Keys-Gamarra, Laufer, and Kent. House Bill 75, Delegates Keys-Gamarra, Laufer, and Kent. For House Bill 118, the Speaker appoints Delegates Keys-Gamarra, Carnegie, and Griffin. House Bill 118, Delegates Keys-Gamarra, Carnegie, and Griffin, and that is companion legislation with Senate Bill 24. For House Bill 318, the Speaker appoints Delegates Hope, Sebald, and Waxman on behalf of the House as conferees. For House Bill 318, Delegates Hope, Sebald, and Waxman. For House Bill 836, the Speaker appoints Delegates Rasool, Cousins, and Runyon. House Bill 836, Delegates Rasool, Cousins, and Runyon, and that's companion legislation to SB 491. For House Bill 1208, the Speaker appoints Delegates Sewell, Askew, and Kent. House Bill 1208, Delegates Sewell, Askew, and Kent will be the House conferees. For House Bill 1441, on behalf of the House, Speaker appoints Delegates Lopez, Simon, and O'Quinn. House Bill 1441, Delegates Lopez, Simon, and McQuinn. For Senate legislation, Senate Bill 44, the Speaker appoints Delegates Sewell, McGuire, and Ware. SB 44, Delegates Sewell, McGuire, and Ware. For Senate Bill 134, Speaker appoints Delegates Sewell, Askew, and Kent. SB 134, Delegates Sewell, Askew, and Kent. For Senate Bill 226, the Speaker appoints Delegates Tran, Navarre, and Bloxham as conferees and part of the House. Senate Bill 226, Delegates Tran, Navarre, and Bloxham. And finally, the Speaker appoints for Senate Bill 490, Delegates Helmer, Thomas, and Wiley. SB 490, Delegates Helmer, Thomas, and Wiley. The conference committee assignments are all listed on your member page in IHOD for easy reference. Mr. Speaker, that's all the announcements I have at this time. Therefore, pursuant to House Rule 40 and first person of the morning hour, Speaker requests you use your request to speak button for the agenda items listed for reference up on the voting board.
The delegate from Virginia Beach, Delegate Tater.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I rise for an introduction.
The delegate has the floor.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Today I am honored to introduce Reverend Jason Nathaniel Knight, the senior pastor of the historic Mount Olive Baptist Church in Virginia Beach. Reverend Knight's faith journey began in 1998 when he committed his life to Christ. He was licensed to preach the gospel in 2008. In 2014, he was called to serve as senior pastor of Mount Olive Baptist Church, where he continues to lead with the vision of spiritual renewal, discipleship, and community engagement. As pastor of one of the oldest black churches in SeaTac, which is one of the oldest African American communities, Reverend Knight has faithfully served both church and city as a community activist and servant of God's people in the thriving city of Virginia Beach. He holds degrees in biblical studies and biblical exposition from Andersonville Theological Seminary and has pursued further studies in pastoral leadership through Baylor University and Liberty University. Reverend Knight serves alongside his wife, First Lady Denise, also known as Dee Knight, and their daughter Janae, and he remains committed to proclaiming the transforming message of the gospel and serving the people of God with faith and integrity. I hope it will be the will of the House to join me in giving Reverend Knight a warm House welcome. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Welcome, Reverend Knight. Welcome to the Capitol. Thank you for that rousing prayer this morning. The delegate from Loudoun County, Delegate Singh.
Mr. Speaker, I rise for the purpose of an introduction.
Delegate has the floor.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Would the members of the SLIQ community in Richmond please rise? Ladies and gentlemen of the House, I'd like to introduce you all to members of the Sangath, which means Congregation of the Sikh Association of Central Virginia, SAKVI, and Singh Sabha. There are 500,000 Sikhs in the United States with the core values of work hard, serve others, and believe in God. A typical day at SAKVI or Singh Sabha, a temple or gurdwara, consists of a divan, which is singing of religious hymns, followed by a free meal, which is called langar. All are welcome to join. All are welcome to attend. This is an open invitation from me to everyone in the House. If you ever want to attend a gurdwara, please come find me, and I'll take you there. And I'd like to say that these gurdwaras are represented by Delegates Schmidt and Gardner, and on behalf of them, I'd encourage you all and ask you all to give them a warm House welcome.
Welcome to the Capitol today. Delegate from Warren County, Delegate Oates.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I rise for a motion and an introduction.
The delegate has the floor.
I move the House take out of order H.R. 328 on page 88 from today's calendar.
The clerk will report a resolution.
House Resolution number 328, commending the Blue Ridge Volunteer Fire Company, Incorporated.
The delegate has the floor.
Mr. Speaker, I move adoption of the resolution and request to speak to the motion.
The delegate has the floor.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker and members of the House, it is my honor today to recognize Blue Ridge Volunteer Fire Company on the occasion of its 50th anniversary of dedicated service protecting the people of Clark County and the surrounding communities, and I would ask that they please stand. Blue Ridge was born out of tragedy. In 1975, after a devastating fire took the lives of members of the community, local citizens came together and resolved that such a loss should never happen again. With support from neighboring departments and the citizens of the community, Blue Ridge Volunteer Fire Company was officially chartered in 1976. For decades, the company has grown and adapted to new technologies. Today, it operates modern apparatus and equipment, is staffed by highly trained men and women who are prepared to respond to all types of emergencies. Their service is even more remarkable given the rugged mountain terrain they protect throughout western Clark County and along the Appalachian Trail. The success and longevity of the Blue Ridge Volunteer Fire Company is a testament to the dedication, courage, and selflessness of the men and women who serve. Mr. Speaker, on behalf of the House of Delegates, it's my great privilege to recognize their 50 years of service, to thank them and for that service and commitment to the people of Clark County and beyond. And I would request movement of the resolution.
The delegate from Warren County, Delegate Oates, moves that the House adopt House Resolution number 328, commending the Blue Ridge Volunteer Fire Company, Incorporated. All those in favor say aye. Aye. All those opposed, no. The motion is agreed to. Congratulations and thank you. The delegate from Prince William, Delegate Maldonado.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I move that the House suspend the special and continuing joint order relating to judicial elections until Wednesday, March 11th, at the conclusion of the morning hour, pursuant to Rule 13 of HJR 29, and if I may speak to that motion.
The delegate has the floor.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, we have a few more final conversations to have across a couple of delegations, and we also want to make room for the Pages debate today. So we will look forward to coming back on Wednesday. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
The delegate from Prince William, Delegate Maldonado, moves that the House postpone the special and continuing joint order related to judicial elections until Wednesday, March 11th at the conclusion of the morning hour, pursuant to Rule 13 of House Joint Resolution 29. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Those opposed, no. The motion is agreed to. The delegate from Prince William will inform the Senate of the action taken by the House. The delegate from Lynchburg, Delegate Walker.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I rise for a motion.
The delegate has the floor.
Mr. Speaker, I move that H.R. 321 on page 41 of the calendar be moved to Thursday, March the 12th. Thank you.
Without objection, House Resolution 321 on page 41 is passed by until March the 12th. The delegate from Richmond City, Delegate Carr.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I rise for an introduction and a motion.
The delegate has the floor.
Thank you, sir. Thank you. Today, joining us in the gallery is the family of Victor Shaheen, represented by one of his sons, Blaze, and I would ask him to stand, please. Victor was a true stalwart in the Richmond community. He was a strong athlete during his time at St. Christopher School here in Richmond, and he was a sharp student during his time at the University of Richmond, where he earned an undergraduate and law degrees. Throughout his professional career, Victor was a luminary in law and worked diligently to advance his practice and support the profession. Victor was also a dedicated husband, father, and grandfather, as well as a friend to many. These devotions are evident in his legacy he leaves behind, including the law practice that he opened with his brother that continues to thrive under the leadership of his sons, including Blaze, who is here today. With his family here today, I would like to make a motion that we take up HJ 231 on page 30 of the printed calendar, and I move its adoption.
The clerk will report a resolution.
Page 30, memorial resolutions laid on the Speaker's table. House Joint Resolution 231, celebrating the life of Victor Anthony Shaheen.
The delegate from Richmond City, Delegate Carr, moves that the House adopt House Joint Resolution 231, celebrating the life of Victor Anthony Shaheen, and when the House adjourned today, it do so in the honor of Victor Anthony Shaheen. All those in favor shall rise. The motion is agreed to.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
The delegate from Washington County, Delegate O'Quinn.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I rise for a motion.
The delegate has the floor.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I'd like to call House Joint Resolution number 285 on page 36 of the calendar up out of order.
Clerk will report a resolution.
House Joint Resolution 285 in the commending resolutions category, commending Strongwell.
Delegate from Washington County, Delegate O'Quinn.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Speaking to the motion.
Delegate has the floor.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. For over 100 years, Strongwell has been a presence in Bristol and the surrounding area. They started as a furniture company and later as a supplier for the war effort during World War II. They began producing reinforced plastics in 1956 through a unique process called pultrusion at their headquarters in Bristol. Since then, they have 4 manufacturing facilities across America that produce dozens of product lines for multiple markets throughout the world. It's also worth noting that they are totally debt-free and have never endured a layoff in over 100 years. Their products are found in all sorts of things that you might have seen and experienced and just didn't know it. Pedestrian bridges, utility poles, ladders, and a variety of garden tools. They were also the recipient of the 2025 Manufacturing Innovations Award from the Southwest Virginia Alliance for Manufacturing, and I think that is something worth commending. So, Mr. Speaker, I renew my motion to pass House Joint Resolution number 285.
Delegate from Washington County, Delegate O'Quinn, moves that the House adopt House Joint Resolution 285, commending Strongwell. All those in favor say aye. Aye. All those opposed, no. The motion is agreed to. Congratulations. The delegate from Chesapeake, Delegate Hayes.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I rise for an introduction.
Delegate has the floor.
Thank you so much, Mr. Speaker. Members of the House, I rise today to recognize House Joint Resolution 172, which passed the House on March the 2nd, and it's a resolution commending and celebrating the life of a great Virginian and extraordinary gentleman. That is Dr. Andrew Billingsley, on the occasion of his 100th birthday as he joins us today. Mr. Speaker, members of the House, his life is literally from sharecropper's son to university president. Dr. Andrew Billingsley was born in rural Alabama in 1926, the son of sharecroppers. As a child, he couldn't even attend school because he had to work the fields with his family, determined to give their children a chance at a real education. His parents escaped their farming community in the middle of the night and moved to Akmar, Alabama, where his father found work as a coal miner. There, he was finally able to start school at the age of 10. Mr. Speaker, reaching the age of 100 in itself is remarkable. It's worthy of great honor. But to reach that milestone, having spent a lifetime shaping minds, advancing scholarship as an African American through the 40s, 50s, and 60s, met him with what Paul Laurence Dunbar described as life: a crust of bread and a corner to sleep in, a minute to smile, but an hour to weep in, a pint of joy to a peck of trouble, and never a laugh, but the moans come double, and that is life. He is extraordinary because not only did he help himself, but he has continued to throw the rope back by strengthening institutions of higher education. Dr. Billingsley has devoted his life to the pursuit of knowledge and expansion of educational opportunities here in America. Again, born in 1926, he became one of the nation's most respected scholars on the social dynamics of American communities and the strength of resilience. Mr. Speaker, his research and writings have helped generations better understand the social structures that shape our nation and the enduring importance of community. Dr. Billingsley also served with great distinction as president of Morgan State University from 1975 to 1984. Where his visionary leadership strengthened academic programs, expanded the university's capacity, and elevated Morgan State's reputation as one of the nation's premier historically black colleges and universities. Mr. Speaker, a century of life devoted to education, scholarship, and service, and the pursuit of equity is worth recognizing by this body. Therefore, Mr. Speaker, members of the House, I ask that you join me as we extend to him a warm House welcome.
Welcome to the Capitol, sir, and thank you for your perseverance, dedication, and role modeling. We follow in your footsteps. Thank you. The delegate from Norfolk, Delegate Anthony.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I rise for a motion.
The delegate has the floor.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I move that the House take up out of order House Joint Resolution 170 on page 30 of today's calendar.
Clerk will report a resolution.
Memorial resolution laid on the Speaker's table. This House Joint Resolution 170, celebrating the life of Horace Christopher Belcher.
The delegate from Norfolk, Delegate Anthony.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Today I rise to speak on House Joint Resolution 170 and to honor the life of Horace Christopher Big B Belcher, a beloved voice of Hampton Roads and a man whose life helped shape the cultural identity of the region we proudly call the 757. And before I continue, Mr. Speaker, I understand that his wife and his family members and friends are here in the gallery with us. If they would please stand. And on behalf of the Virginia House of Delegates and the Commonwealth of Virginia, we extend our deepest condolences and our sincere gratitude for the life of Chris Belcher. Thank you for sharing him with all of us. So many of us who grew up in the 7 cities, Big B was more than a radio personality. He was part of the rhythm of our mornings and the soundtrack of daily life across Hampton Roads. In the early 1990s, alongside his radio partner Lawrence DJ Law Brown, Big B helped build the legendary Buddha Brothers morning show on 103 Jams. Through humor, storytelling, and music, they created more than a radio program. They created a community. The bond they formed with listeners felt like family, what many came to know as the Buddha Brotherhood. During the golden era of hip-hop and R&B, Big B helped define the cultural sound of the 7 cities and widely created with helping popularize the term, the 757, giving Hampton Roads a shared identity that continues to unite our region today. After the passing of his partner, DJ Law, Chris Big B Belcher carried forward that legacy with pride and devotion, becoming the last surviving original Buddha brother, a living bridge to history they built together. Those who knew him best remember Big B as warm-hearted, quick-witted, compassionate, and deeply loyal. He had a remarkable gift for making people feel welcome, valued, and connected. Through mentorship, storytelling, and genuine engagement with the listeners, He uplifted others and strengthened the bonds of community throughout Hampton Roads. Yet beyond the microphone, Chris Big B Belcher was a devoted husband, a father, a grandfather, and a friend, whose greatest legacy is the love he shared with his family and the community that embraced him. Mr. Speaker, I move that this body pauses to remember a man whose voice helped a region hear itself, celebrate itself, and come together. And may the memory of Horace Christopher Big B Belcher continue to echo the 7 cities, all of the 757, and throughout the Commonwealth for generations to come. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
The delegate from Norfolk, Douglas Anthony, moves that the House adopt House Joint Resolution 170, celebrating the life of Horace Christopher Belcher. And when the House adjourn today, it do so in the honor and memory of Horace Christopher Belcher. All those in favor shall rise. The motion is agreed to. The delegate from Fairfax, Delegate Simon.
Mr. Speaker, I rise for a motion.
Delegate has the floor.
Mr. Speaker, I move that House Resolution 305 on page 40 of the calendar be referred to the Committee on Rules. HR 305 on page 40.
The delegate from Fairfax, Delegate Simon, moves that House Resolution 305 on page 40 be referred to the Committee on Rules. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, no. The motion is agreed to. House Resolution 305 is referred to the Committee on Rules. The delegate from Suffolk, Delegate Clark.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I rise for a motion.
Delegate has the floor.
Mr. Speaker, I move that the House take up out of order H.R. 355, found on page 44 of today's calendar.
Clerk will report a resolution.
Under category commending resolutions laid on the Speaker's table, House Resolution 355 commending B. Bourgeois is now before the body.
Delegate from Suffolk, Delegate Clark.
Mr. Speaker, I move the adoption of the resolution, and I request to speak to the motion.
The delegate has the floor.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Today I rise to recognize and commend Richmond native B. Boyso. If him and his family can please rise.
Sorry.
Awesome. Mr. Boyso, professionally known as B. Boy Soul, a Grammy Award-winning producer, recording artist, musician, and music industry executive whose career reflects more than 3 decades of artistic excellence and industry leadership. He resides in Delegate Cousins' district. She gave me the honor to introduce him, and I have known him now for almost a decade, so it's been a pleasure of having him as a friend. But Mr. Boyso developed his musical identity within the Commonwealth's rich cultural landscape while deepening his understanding of music theory, performance, and cultural lineage of black music. Earlier this year, Mr. Boyso earned national recognition when he won a Grammy Award in the Best Spoken Word Poetry Album category at the 68th Annual Grammy Award for his work as a project manager and producer on Words of 4 Days, Volume 1 by Richmond hip-hop legend Mad Skills. Beginning his career as a working musician, he toured and recorded as a keyboardist with numerous artists and became known for his soulful, precise style that bridges classical and contemporary sounds. Today, he serves as a senior executive with the Sono Recording Group and Independent Label Service Group, which partners with the Universal Music Group for global distribution, where he plays a vital role in talent scouting, artist development, and label growth. In addition to his executive leadership, Mr. Boyso continues to create as a producer and independent artist, releasing genre-blending instrumental projects that merges hip-hop, jazz, soul, rhythm, and blues. Admired as both a musician who understands the business and an executive who respect the art, he has helped nurture numerous emerging talents. It is therefore my honor to move this resolution commending B. Boyso for his Grammy Award and for representing the Commonwealth of Virginia with excellence. Mr. Speaker, I move the resolution.
Delegate from Suffolk, Delegate Clark, moves that the House adopt House Resolution 355 commending B. Boyso. Did I say it correct? Boyso. B. Boyso. You got to spell it. All those in favor say aye. All those opposed, no. The motion is agreed to. Congratulations, sir. Congratulations. The delegate from Spotsylvania, Delegate Cole.
Mr. Speaker, I rise for the purpose of an introduction.
The delegate has the floor.
Would the students and educators from Carmel School please stand? Mr. Speaker, we have with us today in the gallery students, educators, and parents from the Carmel School's 7th grade civics and 12th grade government classes. Founded in 1986 and incorporated in 1999, the Carmel School in Ruther Glen in Caroline County is focused on instilling academic excellence and values to shape students' character and guide them toward becoming compassionate, respectful, and responsible citizens. Their dedicated team of educators, staff, and volunteers is committed to nurturing each student's unique gifts and talents while providing a safe and accepting space for learning and personal development. One of their teachers served as a page, and we got a chance to talk in my office about the PAGE program, and I'm hoping that next year one of them would join us in the House as a page. I ask that members join me in giving them a warm House welcome.
Welcome to the Capitol today. Delegate from Newport News, Delegate Price.
Mr. Speaker, I rise for a motion.
The delegate has the floor.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I would move that House Joint Resolution 267 on page 35 go by until Thursday, March 12th. 267 on page 35 go by until Thursday, March 12th.
Without objection, House Joint Resolution 267 found on page 35 go by until March 12th. The delegate from Chesapeake, Delegate Hayes.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I rise for the purpose of an introduction.
The delegate has the floor.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, members of the House, today I rise to recognize and honor a legendary educator, mentor, and coach whose impact has been felt all across generations of young people in the Commonwealth, Coach Elijah Cadillac Harris. This body honored him earlier during the session with House Resolution 173. Affectionately known as Cadillac Coach Harris, he dedicated his life to shaping the lives of students both in the classroom and on the football field. A proud native of Hampton Roads and a former collegiate football player at Norfolk State University, he carried the lessons of discipline, teamwork, and perseverance into a remarkable career as a teacher and coach. First, he was the first black player during integration to play at Kempsville High School, where he became the team captain. And he also was the first black head coach in all of Virginia Beach public schools at Green Run High School. Mr. Speaker, Coach Harris's legacy is not measured only by the number of players who made it in the NFL that was under his tutelage. His true legacy lies in the thousands of young men whose lives were shaped by his guidance, discipline, and encouragement. Mr. Speaker, coaches like Elijah Cadillac Harris remind us that influence of a great teacher extends far beyond the classroom and the scoreboard. Through his leadership, mentorship, and unwavering commitment to young people, Coach Harris has left an enduring mark on Hampton Roads and the Commonwealth of Virginia. Mr. Speaker, members of the House, I ask that you join me as we extend to him a warm House welcome.
Welcome to the Capitol today. The clerk will announce the next order of business.
Second portion of the morning hours reserved for the announcement. Member request legislation move from uncontested to regular, and there are no such requests.
Clerk will announce the next order of business.
Third portion of the morning hours reserved member requests for legislation go by for the day, and if such, the motion by the majority leader to effectuate that. There are two in the category Senate bills, the second category on today's live calendar. Senate bills, third reading regular, page 10. Both bills there, Senator Durant's SB 602 and Senator Locke's SB 20. Both of those by for the day at the request of Delegate Tran.
Delegate from Alexandria, Delegate Herring.
Mr. Speaker, I move that the legislation as announced by the clerk go by for the day.
Delegate from Alexandria, Delegate Herring moves that the legislation as announced by the clerk go by for the day. As many in favor of the motion will say aye. Those opposed, no. The motion is agreed to. The clerk will announce the next order.
And the fourth and final portion of the morning hour reserved for member requests for points of personal privilege. Kindly use your request to speak button.
Delegate from Arlington, Delegate McClure.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I rise for a point of personal privilege.
The delegate has the floor.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, this is Women's History Month, so I rise to honor a group of women so large and so critical in American history that it's astonishing how long these women remained unseen after their work was declassified. Mr. Speaker, I rise to honor the Code Girls, the more than 10,000 women who served our country during World War II in Arlington, Virginia, to help our nation decrypt enemy messages and win the war. These women were recruited from every corner of the United States for their mathematical prowess and resilience, yet had no idea what their job would be until their first day. Within the walls of Arlington Hall, a converted junior college, they swore an oath of secrecy and got to work on highly classified projects. According to the Institute's directors, the code breakers who worked here saved countless American lives and shortened the war by what many historians estimate to be 2 years. Code girls like Genevieve Grachin changed the course of history when her discovery allowed the United States to crack Japan's primary encryption system, codenamed Purple. Her breakthrough allowed American intelligence to read sensitive communication between Japan and its embassies around the world, providing critical insight into Axis strategy. Others like Ann Cara Christie reviewed and sorted thousands of encrypted messages. She was instrumental in identifying and decrypting major Japanese military radio networks, and unlike the majority of Code Girls, Anne continued in cryptography and worked to end the Cold War. She served Americans throughout her career and became the first woman deputy director of the National Security Agency and was named to the Foreign Intelligence Advisory Board by President Bill Clinton. Perhaps the Code Girls most lost to the history were the black women who were segregated from their white counterparts. They made up 15% of the workforce at Arlington Hall. This unit actually kept tabs on messages from the private sector, ensuring that American companies were not doing business with Nazi Germany or Japan. Although Jim Crow had a tight grasp and grip on society, these women risked their own safety to defend that of Americans. World War II may have looked very different without the work of Genevieve Grachin, Ann Cara Christie, and thousands of Code Girls. Ultimately, they saved so many lives. Yet when the war ended, many of these women were pushed out of their jobs and replaced by men, forgotten in history. While a few built careers in cryptography, most quietly returned home, never speaking publicly about what they had accomplished in Arlington, right here in Virginia. They remained unseen. Mr. Speaker, the Code Girls helped us win World War II in silence, and for decades their tremendous and life-saving service remained secret. But like all American heroes, their story deserves to be told, and I'm beyond proud and honored to stand right here and tell their story on the Virginia House floor. Happy Women's History Month to the Arlington Hall Code Breakers and to the countless women whose brilliance, courage, and service helped to shape our nation, even when the world failed to see them and history failed to remember them. May we continue the work of making the unseen impossible to ignore, because these brilliant and courageous women who helped shape this nation deserve nothing less. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Delegate from Norfolk, Delegate Glass.
Gratitude, Mr. Speaker. I rise for a point of personal privilege.
The delegate has the floor.
Gratitude, Mr. Speaker. I'm going to do a clock check, too, before I start. I want to go ahead and put a trigger warning on this speech. I know that's going to make some folks uncomfortable, because I'm going to talk about something dealing with death. And I just want to make sure that anybody has ever dealt with death by nature of suicide have the opportunity to take a space. Mr. Speaker, life is a game. And if you ask my spouse, he says I play to be a headache. If you ask my dad, he'll tell you I played and I was a hemorrhoid. That all served me really well in the Navy. I left at 18 years old and ended up in this place called Corey Station, where I advocated the heck out of my CO, Captain Connie Frizzell, to go to this conference in D.C. that they didn't necessarily let folks my rank go to. She let me go. And because she let me go, I was issued a government credit card and was on my way to get ready to go to this conference. But what happened in between me getting that card issued and actually making it to that conference is something that has changed the way I look at women in leadership, women in the military, women in service. While serving in the Navy, Mr. Speaker, I had the honor of doing something I would describe as a terrible honor. I was assigned to escort the body home of one of my sailors who died by suicide. Her name was Petty Officer Michelle West. I knew her as Singleton. She had just gotten married the December prior to her death. See, Mr. Speaker, days before, or week before her death, we had this thing called weigh-ins, and you'll probably remember that, where they do your weight, do your body fat, and all that good stuff. Petty Officer West failed her weigh-in. And I remember looking at her face, because I was a command fitness leader, writing stuff down, and a fitness leader took her outside of the door, and you could just see her distraught. But you could also see a fitness leader kind of giving her the business. And in that moment in my heart, I remember thinking, I should probably go talk to her, because, like, she's a black girl. She got some hips. This is how it is. She's going to have to learn how to kind of work with this in the military with their fitting standards. But I didn't. A week later was that fitness test, Mr. Speaker, and Petty Officer West never showed up. She was UA. My shipmate, Chandrea Richardson, was the one who went to Wes's barracks room. I'm sorry, I thought it was good. She went to the barracks room and she found her. She found her, how she managed to do this to herself. And for most of my life, and when I walk through this sort of occupational hazard of leading folks, I can see both of their faces. Chandrea, who went on to be a senior chief and retired, and Wes, whose one choice shaped the life of many women that I served with. Mr. Speaker, life kept testing us as women in leadership, because 6 months later, we were still trying to mourn the death of Petty Officer West, and we had one of our sailors, she went for a jog outside of base and was killed, gunned down right outside of the base. And that her murder is still unsolved to this day. Between those 6 months, we had student after student after student with suicide ideation, suicide attempts, back to back. It was nonstop. But what happened in that moment? A cohort of women came together. Cache Hapner, Terry Seiler, Chandrea Richardson, and myself, and so many other, particularly women. They never mourned properly, but we led hundreds of sailors. We kept running battalions. We kept running each other. We knew the weight was unbearable, but it could not be seen by our junior sailors. And that's kind of the way that women do it. That's kind of the way that we've always done it. Long before we were allowed in boardrooms or legislators, we organized in living rooms, in kitchens, and in spaces where we didn't need official permission. In 1795, women gathered in parlors and kitchens, organizing to become abolitionists. They call them knitting circles, and for decades before they could speak or vote, these knitting circles were where information moved. fundraisers. They built community networks. They lived through power not because somebody gave it to them, but because they understood something extremely simple, that community is power. So let me tell you something about women in the military. Just like those women understanding that community is power, we do not just serve, we build. And I, again, watched women build. Women with me who helped with the Women's Policy Office, which was supposed to be designed to look at how we can make military life better for women. This policy office developed what was called the Career Intermission Program. And in that pilot for this Career Intermission Program, allowing sailors to just take a break from life, out of the 12 applicants, 11 of them were men who took the break. Out of the Women's Policy Office, Mr. Speaker, came paternity leave in 2009. They helped the Navy understand something very simple, that that sailors come from different body types, different uniforms, and that the work, in order for us to do it better, has to show for everyone. Women fix systems. When they do that, everybody benefits. The entire force gets stronger. And that is why when I see that our federal government gets rid of the Department of Defense, and when they eliminated the advisory DACWITs, when the advisory committee for women for decades that have offered practical recruitment, retention, healthcare, equipment, common sense things to help the mental health, personal health of women, deciding that the work that we do, the community that we build, our existence is a divisive feminist agenda, dismissing admirals, Lisa Fruchetti, the first woman to lead and serve the Joint Chiefs of Staff, removed after her service distinguished. Mr. Speaker, this is not just about women. It is about wisdom. It is about the wisdom of the force. It is about national security. Women didn't fight this hard for us to move backwards, so I say not on our watch. If we want power to be good, more good people have to have power. I learned something from this moment of dealing with the death of Petty Officer West, and even just recently looking at what's happening to women in service, these historic women. I initially promised myself that I would never be the reason that someone loses their will to live, literally or figuratively. But as I matured, I learned that I cannot carry everyone's life, but I can only speak it. It is a simple truth. Men are taught to study and exercise power. Women are taught to apologize for it. We shrink. We second guess. That experience with my sailors has ultimately changed how I view women in leadership and how I lead. People love talking about being a leader of men, but I can tell you something honestly, Mr. Speaker, is that leading men isn't that hard. They're pretty transparent. Leading women is where you learn the kind of leader you actually are, because women don't typically, again, build power the same way. Structurally, culturally, socially, women carry different tools. They carry families, they carry communities, they carry expectation, they carry history. They build in ways. We are taught to build without institutions, without companies, without armed battalions, and still measure up. I still walk into this chamber and I am in awe. Because of the historic number of women sitting here. It is wild. It is beautiful. It also means something important in women's history, Mr. Speaker. This happened because both men and women participated. But more importantly, women didn't just accept an invitation to the game. They proudly put on their jerseys. Because again, Mr. Speaker, life is a game. So my ask is to the brilliant women that have been watching, cheering, encouraging everyone else, never stopping to put themselves on the field. Today, this month, is my celebration and gratitude, but also a message very simply for Women's History Month. Put your jersey on. The question is not whether life is the ultimate, life, which is the ultimate referee, will try to give you a penalty. The question is, are you willing to stay in the game? Whether you're willing to keep living, or whether you're willing to die slowly, because women do it all the time in polite ways. Death by words, death by expectations, death by standards, death by rules, death by culture, and yes, death by suicide. Again, this month isn't just about remembering the past, it's about deciding what the future will remember about us. Mr. Speaker, I ask that Petty Officer Michelle West, her struggle with standards and a culture that would tell her she'd not fit. Cachet's Hapner, reminder to people that this was her daggum Navy and they were gonna honor it. Chandrea's reminder that healing takes time. I hope that their representation in history to all the women that we served, that women stopped dying politely, they stopped shrinking to make other people comfortable, they stopped sitting in the stands of their own life, and know that if somebody calls you a headache, to just breathe and smile, because history usually starts with one. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Clerk will call the calendar.
Calendar for today, Tuesday, March 10th. Wishing my life away. Tuesday, March 10th, for the Virginia House of Delegates, page 2 of the printed calendar. First category, Senate bills on third reading uncontested calendar, about a dozen plus bills in the uncontested calendar block, beginning with Senate Bill 568, which seeks to amend the Code of Virginia relating to the Department of Education, public schools, use of school-issued devices for instructional purposes, development of model policies for limiting instruction screen time. Legislative Support Committee on Education with amendment nature substitute.
Delegate from Roanoke City, Delegate Rasul.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Move the committee substitute.
Shall the committee substitute be agreed to? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, no. The committee substitute is agreed to. The delegate from Roanoke City, Delegate Rasul.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Now, Senate Bill 568 with the committee substitute simply integrates addiction to screen time into the addiction curriculum in health. I hope you pledge the body to pass the bill.
Next up in the uncontested block is Senate Bill 124, which seeks to amend and reenact Section Code of Virginia relating to towing, impoundment, and immobilization and storage costs, payments, or reimbursements by the Commonwealth. Legislative Support Committee on Transportation.
Delegate from Fairfax, Delegate Delaney.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. This bill clarifies that the payments or reimbursements owed by the Commonwealth to the owner or lien holder of a vehicle for the cost of towing, impounding, or storage vehicles involved in criminal offenses shall be paid through the state treasury. I move passage of the bill.
Continuing with the uncontested block, Senate Bill 246 now before you seeks to amend and reenact a plethora of sections of the code, repeal several others, all relating to the Virginia Non-Stock Corporation Act. Legislative Support Committee on Labor and Commerce with amendments.
Delegate from Arlington, Delegate Hope.
Mr. Speaker, can Senate Bill 246 go by for the day?
Delegate from Arlington, without objection, Senate Bill 246 by for the day.
Turning to page 5 of the printed calendar, following that way, therefore, we come to Senate Bill 333, which continues the block. This seeks to amend the Code of Virginia relating to remediated mine gas grant program. Legislative Support Committee on Labor and Commerce with an amendment nature substitute.
Delegate from Hampton, Delegate Ward.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, first I move the substitute.
Shall the committee substitute be agreed to? All those in favor say aye. All those opposed, no. The committee substitute is agreed to. Delegate from Hampton, Delegate Ward.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, the substitute really tasks the Department of Energy rather than the SEC to establish the program, amends the definition of sequester and sequestration, and includes some other changes. Mr. Speaker, I move passage of the bill.
Continuing with the uncontested block, we now come to Senate Bill 371, which seeks to amend the Code of Virginia relating to electric utilities, high energy demand customers. State Corporation Commission to establish electric demand flexibility programs report. Legislative Support Committee on Labor and Commerce with an amendment nature substitute.
Delegate from Virginia Beach, Delegate Fagans.
Mr. Speaker, I move the committee substitute.
Shall the committee substitute be agreed to? All those in favor say aye. All those opposed, no. Committee substitute is agreed to. The delegate from Virginia Beach, Delegate Fagans.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. These changes are technical and makes SB 3071 identical now to my HB 284. It clarifies the capacity reduction credit process and provides carve-outs for our nation's shipbuilders. I move passage of the bill.
Continuing with the block, we now come to Senate Bill 436, which seeks to amend and reenact Section Code of Virginia relating to photo speed monitoring devices, highway work zones, workers present. Legislation Board Committee on Transportation with amendments.
Delegate from Fairfax, Delegate Delaney.
Mr. Speaker, I move the committee amendments.
Shall the committee amendments be agreed to? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, no. The committee amendments agreed to. Delegate from Fairfax, Delegate Delaney.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. This bill limits the use of photo speed monitoring devices in highway work zones to when workers are present. I move passage of the bill.
Over on page 6, we come to Senate Bill 437 in the uncontested block. It's legislation that seeks to amend and reenact Section Code of Virginia relating to green warning lights, vehicles equipped with truck-mounted attenuators. Legislation Board Committee on Transportation with Amendment Nature Substitute.
Delegate from Fairfax, Delegate Delaney.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I move the committee substitute.
Shall the committee substitute be agreed to? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, no. The committee substitute is agreed to. Delegate from Fairfax, Delegate Delaney.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. This bill authorizes the use of green and amber lights on certain vehicles used in highway construction and maintenance. I move passage of the bill.
Senate Bill 440 now before you seeks to amend and reenact Section Code of Virginia related to use of license plates from another vehicle, authorized time period. Legislation again, report Committee on Transportation.
Delegate from Fairfax, Delegate Delaney.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. This bill extends the time period for which the owner of a motor vehicle is authorized to use license plates from one motor vehicle on another motor vehicle owned by a person operating a garage or owned by a motor vehicle dealer. I move passage of the bill.
Senate Bill 441 is legislation that seeks to amend the Code of Virginia relating to the use of the license plates special permit validity period. Legislation reported again from Committee on Transportation.
Delegate from Fairfax, Delegate Delaney.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. This bill extends the time period for which a special permit on a vehicle other than the vehicle for which the license plates were issued when the vehicle for which the license plates are at a repair shop. I move passage of the bill.
Senate Bill 455 is legislation that seeks to amend and reenact two sections of the Code of Virginia relating to tow truck drivers' registration. Legislation again, report Committee on Transportation.
We can do this all day, Delaney. We can do this all day. The delegate from Fairfax, Delegate Delaney.
Mr. Speaker, I am not even halfway done, but yes, I will be here all day. Senate bill. This bill prohibits towing and recovery operators from employing tow truck drivers who are not registered with the Department of Criminal Justice Services. I move passage of the bill.
Over on page 8, we come to Senate Bill 479. SB 479 seeks to amend and reenact various portions of the Code of Virginia, all related to the Virginia Stock Corporation Act. Legislation Report Committee on Labor and Commerce with amendments.
Delegate from Hampton, Delegate Ward.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I move the amendments.
Shall the committee amendments be agreed to? All those in favor say aye. All those opposed, no. The committee amendments agreed to. The delegate from Hampton, Delegate Ward.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. The amendments are mostly technical in nature, but with the amendments, the bill is identical to House Bill 316, which passes House 98-0. I move passage of the bill.
Next up in the uncontested block is Senate Bill 506, which seeks to amend and reenact Section Code of Virginia relating to vehicle equipment films on windshields. Legislation supported again for the Committee on Transportation.
Delegate from Fairfax, Delegate Delaney.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. This bill simply authorizes the application of clear film to a windshield of a vehicle so long as it is maintained in a condition consistent with federal requirements. I move passage of the bill.
Senate Bill 720 now before you seeks to amend the Code of Virginia relating to driver training schools, instructor identifications license. Again, Legislative Committee on Transportation.
Delegate from Fairfax, Delegate Delaney.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. This bill requires a driving instructor to properly display and make clearly visible their license in a holder when a student is conducting behind-the-wheel training or any other training in which a student of a driver training school is driving or operating a motor vehicle. I move passage of the bill.
And the last bill in third reading, Senate Bill's third reading, final passage, uncontested calendar block is Senate Bill 734, which seeks to amend and reenact Section Code of Virginia relating to financial institutions, officers, and directors. Legislation Board Committee on Labor and Commerce.
Delegate from Hampton, Delegate Ward.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, what this bill does, it permits the State Corporation Commission, upon petition, to permit an individual to serve as an officer or on the boards of director of more than one financial institution if the commission finds that the financial institutions are not in competition with each other. Mr. Speaker, I move passage of the bill.
Shall the bill...
Mr. Speaker.
The delegate from Roanoke City, Delegate Russell.
Speaking to Senate Bill 734.
The delegate has the floor.
Mr. Speaker, speaking to this fine bill, the last bill in this block. And, Mr. Speaker, I think it's a good bill. Thanks.
Shall the bills pass? That's an old school move right there. Old school move. Y'all rookies, pay attention. Old school move. The clerk will close the roll.
Ayes 99, no 0.
Ayes 99, no 0. The bills pass.
With the uncontested calendar block dispensed with, we come to page 10 of the printed calendar, new category, Senate bills on third reading, regular calendar. Senate Bills 602 and SB 20, both of those are by for the day. Therefore, the first bill in this new category, final passage, third reading, regular, is Senate Bill 108. Legislation to amend and reenact Sections Code of Virginia relating to school boards, student cell phone, and smart device possession and use policies, prohibition. Legislation before Committee on Education with amendment H substitute.
The delegate from Roanoke City, Delegate Rasool.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I would move the committee substitute on Senate Bill 108.
Shall the committee substitute be agreed to? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, no. The committee substitute is agreed to.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Senate Bill 108 seeks to clarify the cell phone policy that we put in place last year. With the cell phone policies that we put in last year, which was to restrict usage of cell phones and cell phone devices from bell to bell, some school divisions were interpreting that in a different way and allowing for some usage between bell to bell. What this says is that students can have possession of the cell phone, keep it in their backpack or on their person, but shall not use the actual cell phone from bell to bell, as was in last year's bill, but continues in this year's bill. There are a number of carve-outs for individuals who need them, whether that be on a 504 plan, diabetes management plan, etc. I would be the pleasure of the body to pass the bill.
Shall the bill pass? Clerk will close the roll.
Ayes 84, noes 11.
Ayes 84, noes 11. The bill passes.
Senate Bill 190 now before you would direct the Department of Education to assess the impact of developing a program to provide student support programs to students enrolled in a public elementary or secondary school through certified student support agencies. Legislation report to the Committee on Education with amendment nature of a substitute.
Delegate from Norfolk, Delegate Anthony.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I move the committee substitute.
Shall the committee substitute be agreed to? All those in favor say aye. All those opposed, no. The committee substitute is agreed to. The delegate from Norfolk, Delegate Anthony.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. The substitute for SB 190 conforms to my bill, HB 170, which passed this House by a vote for 60 to 35, establishes clear MOUs and privacy guardrails, also includes a reenactment clause preserving legislative oversight before implementation to set us up with negotiating position in conference. Mr. Speaker, I hope it be the will of the body to pass the bill.
Shall the bill pass?
Remember that one.
Clerk will close the roll.
Ayes 64, noes 35.
Ayes 64, noes 35. The bill passes.
Senate Bill 220 is legislation to direct the Department of Education in collaboration with the Executive Committee of the Virginia High School League to review and make recommendations on revising the residency requirements for high school student athletes to participate in high school athletic teams. Legislation for Committee on Education with an amendment.
Delegate from Roanoke City, Delegate Rasool.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Move the committee amendment.
Shall the committee amendment be agreed to? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, no. The committee amendments are agreed to. The delegate from Roanoke City, Delegate Rasool.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Senate Bill 220 seeks to kind of tackle the question of what kind of freedom we should be giving to high school students to be able to explore potentially playing in other schools. As the bill originally was created, it allowed for students to be able to transfer to different schools and school divisions. But the bill that is before us, though, now has a delayed enactment of a year that asks the Department of Education, VHSL, to come together and figure out what might be the best policies in moving forward. I hope it will be the pleasure of the body to pass the bill.
Shall the bill pass? Clerk will close the roll.
Ayes 85, noes 13.
Ayes 85, noes 13. The bill passes.
Over on page 12, we come to Senate Bill 271, legislation to amend and reenact Sections Code of Virginia relating to the Prescription Drug Affordability Board established drug cost affordability review. Legislation Report Committee on Appropriations, and yesterday this legislation was taken by. There was a floor sub and floor amendments by Delegate Delaney, and then I believe she was going to do some more. So then today we have the bill back before us, and there is a new floor substitute by Delegate Delaney.
Delegate from Fairfax, Delegate Delaney.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. So first, I will move to withdraw, or I request that we withdraw the floor substitute H1 from yesterday and the floor amendments, and then move the second floor substitute. And I'll speak to
So let's do the first.
Yep. So first, I'll move that we withdraw yesterday's floor substitute.
Just withdraw.
Without objection, withdrawn. Second.
Does that include, Mr. Speaker, the floor amendments as
Without
well?
Without objection, the floor amendments are withdrawn.
And thank you, Mr. Speaker. And so now I'm going to move the new floor substitute, speaking to that motion.
So the delegate has the floor. You can speak to it, then move it.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. So the bill that I have before you with this floor substitute is now the Affordable Medicine Act. And it represents the culmination of not only weeks this session, but as many of you know, quite honestly, years of effort between stakeholders, both chambers, both political parties, and the administration. This bill is now stronger and better than any version of this bill I believe that you've seen before. And most importantly, this bill does deliver affordability by saving Virginians millions of dollars on life-saving medications starting on July 1st, 2027. It also really does give teeth to hold drug companies and pharmacy benefit managers accountable when there is price gouging. So I will briefly walk through what this new bill does. So throughout this session, we've taken an innovative approach to model this bill off of the federal Medicare negotiated prices that are already in effect and have been adopted and expanded by both the Biden and Trump administrations. We've maintained that approach and are using existing state authority to draw down those prices, also known as the maximum fair price to Virginia. Instead of setting up a new government board to set upper payment limits, this bill maximizes efficiency and minimizes the fiscal impact to the Commonwealth. So the federal government has already named 40 maximum prices, the first 10 of which went into effect on January 1st, and a little over 2 months ago, the next 15 of which will go into effect January 1st, 2027. So we are modeling our policy after this, and nearly 200,000 Medicare enrollees in Virginia are already benefiting from these lower prices. We're simply now extending that. This bill reaffirms the rare disease and plasma-based therapies, which I know were important to that community and many of you. It does contain a delayed enactment to allow time for the Department of Health to prepare regulations, and it does require that any cost savings from the maximum fair price be passed along to consumers, reducing out-of-pocket costs for Virginians instead of being pocketed by middlemen or insurance companies. So I hope it is the will of the body to pass this bill.
Shall the floor substitute be agreed to? All those in favor say aye. All those opposed, no. The floor substitute is agreed to. The delegate from Middlesex, Delegate Hodges.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Speaking to the bill.
The delegate has the floor.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Ladies and gentlemen of the House, after years and years of hearing the legislation regarding the PDABs, I have been in strong opposition to the legislation for various reasons. But I will tell you, Mr. Speaker, I'm changing my vote to a yes based on this bill. Mr. Speaker,
you got to warn people before you do stuff like that. Okay?
Mr. Speaker, first I would like to commend the patron for her very hard work and to getting to this point. There's somewhat peace in the valley, but with this legislation, you're not going to satisfy everyone. The one reason I'm supporting this is because it does bring in the pharmacy benefit managers and not just the manufacturers, with transparency, network fees, total financial information, and 100% transparency, which I believe is critical, and that's where our problems lie with high prescription drug costs. And then you also look at the rebates that we'll finally be able to see that are then passed on to the patient at the point of sale through a copay or built in to decrease their premiums. We'll finally be able to see that information. Additionally, this legislation moves it from a board to an advisory panel, which I believe is the way to go. where that body can then advise the General Assembly on making recommendations on how we can actually make a difference in having affordable drug costs, Mr. Speaker. So I've changed my vote, Mr. Speaker, so thank you.
Yeah, that's good to clap. That man did some powerful praying earlier today. The delegate from Sussex County, what say ye? The Delegate Waxman.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, speaking to the bill.
The delegate has the floor.
I would like to compliment the discussions from our previous colleagues in the General Assembly. I have been much against the PDAB. They've not worked in other states. This one has changed a lot. It is a lot of good in here that I think is workable. Unfortunately, after reviewing all the many substitutes that have happened in the past couple of days, and I was able to go to the delegate's office last night and get a clean copy, there are a few almost technical things that I'm still concerned about, like the makeup of the PDAB board. There's an information about non-claim payments that I'm a little bit concerned on and confused about what the definitions are, and a few other things. Mr. Speaker, if we had like 2 more days to work these out, I think we would be in a much better spot. But at this time, with some of these things that I think are almost technical in nature, that the way they're set up, I'm afraid that it's going to prevent this from being as successful as it should be. So with that being said, I am for the intent and what this is trying to do. As I agree, pharmaceuticals are way too expensive in this country, but I think it needs just a little bit more work to get it to the position that it's going to be successful. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
I'm not comfortable with this pharmacist on pharmacist crime. I don't know what's going on here. The delegate from Fauquier County, Delegate Weber.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, would Delegate Delaney rise for a question or two?
Would a delegate yield?
Delegate yields.
Okay. Mr. Speaker, I would ask the delegate in regards to, she was referring to the 40 drugs that the federal government currently limits on price. I guess on lines 333 or 335, when it discusses the civil penalty, is that regards to those particular drugs that already have a maximum when it comes to the Medicare or Medicaid negotiations?
Yes, Mr. Speaker. My answer to that is that the penalty is the only price that we're going to be setting that will come with a penalty at this stage would be those ones that we're drawing down from the federal, with the federal language.
Mr.
Delegate
Speaker.
from Fauquier County, Delegate Weber.
Yes, further question for the delegate.
Would Delegate yield?
Delegate yields.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. So essentially, the federal government has already set those prices for us, and we are just saying that if with these particular prices, we're saying that if they don't sell those drugs in the Commonwealth, then they are subject to that civil fine.
Delegate from Fairfax County, Delegate Delaney.
Yes, Mr. Speaker. I would answer the delegate yes, that we are simply mirroring these prices that have these maximum fair prices that have already been set by the federal government and extending that to the Commonwealth and making sure that there is accountability, that those prices are extended to the consumer, and that's where any penalty to fail to do so would lie.
I thank the delegate speaking to the bill at the appropriate time, Mr. Speaker.
The delegate has the floor now.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, 4 or 5 years ago in Commerce, when Delegate Delaney first brought this bill to the floor, to the committee, I gave a speech in frustration. And I think it's a frustration that is shared amongst almost all of our constituents, in that our healthcare system at various points, regardless of where you are, whether it's your health insurance, whether it's your prescription drugs, or just going to the hospital, it's all expensive. And every time you go, you're thinking, oh, what is it going to cost me now? And I, to be honest, I levied voting yes on that bill back then after venting some of my frustrations. And part of that is because of, the pharmacy, the cost of pharmaceutical drugs. And I'll share this one little story real quick. My son, when he was really little, suffered from febrile seizures. And we were given a suppository for him so that if the seizure lasted longer than a minute, it would end the seizure. And so we got it, and we're like, okay, this is great. But because he grows at a rapid pace like I do during session, we had to re-up the prescription every 6 months. And so my wife went to the pharmacy and called me just completely distraught. And she said, well, the prescription with insurance was $2,500. And I was like, it didn't cost that last time because I'd remembered that price tag. And so we went back to our pediatrician who went, well, we'll just readjust the prescription. And we didn't use insurance. We went to a compounding pharmacy, and $45 later, we had basically the same medicine. And it is numerous frustrations like that I don't know about you all, but I am sure your constituents contact you with on a regular basis. And so, Mr. Speaker, I am going to join Delegate Hodges in voting yes for this piece of legislation because the federal government has already set prices. We are working on trying to find a solution because I often tell classes, if somebody walks in and says this one thing is going to solve your health care problem, they're not necessarily telling the truth. But if you have a board, if you're already working with the federal government, if you're doing all of the things that Delegate Delaney has worked exceptionally hard on, then you're working towards a solution. And I feel that this bill is now working towards a solution, Mr. Speaker. And Mr. Speaker, I just would like to say that this is how policy is supposed to be decided. Not necessarily with floor amendments. We'd like that to be done in committee. But when you can really work through an issue and find people, I guarantee you, everybody's going to be mad at this bill that's outside this room. Everybody that's got, whether it be pharmacies or whoever, they're all going to be mad. And I think for us and for our constituents, that'll be a win. So, Mr. Speaker, I would urge a yes on this bill.
The delegate from Sussex, Delegate Waxman.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, speaking to the bill,
The delegate has the
listening
floor.
to my colleagues, I have actually done something that I don't do very often, and I do speak in favor of the bill. I do hope that the small trivial things that I've identified, maybe we could fix those sometime in the next year. Thank
you. Miracles abound. The delegate from Fairfax, Delegate Delaney, did you have another word you wanted to add to this debate?
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I will just thank all of my colleagues. It's been so much work. The stakeholders, my staff, this body, these members. This really is the culmination of a tremendous amount of work, years of work. We're going to lead the way in Virginia with this bill. I'm so proud of it, and I do, again, renew my motion to pass this bill.
Shall the bill pass? Clerk will close the roll.
Ayes 95, noes 4.
Ayes 95, noes 4. The bill passes.
Continuing with Senate Bill's third reading, regular, bottom of page 12, we come to Senate Bill 518, legislation to amend and reenact three sections of the Code of Virginia relating to prevailing wage rate for public works contracts, definitions, penalty. Legislation for Committee on Labor and Commerce, amendment substituted by the Committee on Appropriations.
The delegate from Virginia Beach, Delegate Fagans.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I move the Labor and Commerce substitute.
Shall the committee substitute be agreed to? All those in favor say aye. All those opposed, no. The substitute is agreed to. The delegate from Virginia Beach, Delegate Fagans.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. The substitute adds a carve-out for large state-funded construction projects at public universities, and the bill still modernizes Virginia's prevailing wage law to ensure that the federal standards are the floor while updating Virginia's labor standards for wages every 2 years. And also, this substitute allows us to prepare for us to go in conference for my HB 569. I move passage of the bill.
The delegate from Washington County, Delegate O'Quinn.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Speaking to the bill.
Delegate has the floor.
So on this incredible day where we're changing hearts and minds, I'll go ahead and take a shot at that as well. Mr. Speaker, there are two ways that the General Assembly can raise taxes. There's the old-fashioned way of saying, here's the tax, and we're going to raise it to this rate. And then there's this way. What we do here is we tell a locality, if you have a public works contract, you have to include in the bid specs this artificially inflated prevailing wage rate. And a lot of times these projects are not optional. They might be an emergency. It might be a critical infrastructure project, and they have to do it. And we've told them you have to include this other piece in here. A lot of localities don't have the cash on hand to pay for those projects. A lot of localities may or may not be able to access credit at a rate which they can bear. And if neither of those things pan out, then they have no choice but to most likely raise property taxes to cover this public works contract. So, Mr. Speaker, I would say that no, this isn't a tax increase in the traditional sense of a tax increase, but for a lot of localities in the Commonwealth, it's going to be a tax increase. Mr. Speaker, I just don't think that's the right route to go. I don't think this is something that we should be levying on the localities that they then have to turn around and force back on to the citizens of that locality. So, Mr. Speaker, I would ask that we vote no on this bill. Thank you.
Shall the bill pass? Clerk will close the roll.
Ayes 63, noes 35.
Ayes 63, noes 35. The bill passes. That ended fast.
Over on page 13, we come to Senate Bill 536, legislation to amend and reenact a section of the Code of Virginia relating to medical malpractice actions, limitation on recovery, prejudgment interest. Legislation for committee on Courts of Justice with amendment nature substitute.
Gentleman from Arlington, Delegate Hope.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I move the committee substitute.
Shall the committee substitute be agreed to? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, no. The committee substitute is agreed to. Gentleman from Arlington, Delegate Hope.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Let me explain what this bill does. As amended by the substitute, the bill provides that for actions for malpractice occurring on or after July the 1st of 2027, the medical malpractice cap is established at $6 million and provides that each subsequent 2-year interval afterwards, the cap be adjusted by the annual percentage reflected in the medical care component published by the most recent CPI-U in the South in the region. The substitute further provides that in actions when the total malpractice verdict plus prejudgment interest exceeds the total amount recoverable pursuant to the cap, the patient may recover up to 2 years of prejudgment interest in addition to a recoverable amount. The bill limits recovery by a patient against the personal income or assets of the healthcare provider sued in his individual capacity for medical malpractice unless the court finds certain elements. The bill extends statute of limitations for medical malpractice actions in instances where medical malpractice was not reasonably known or discoverable by the patient. Now, Mr. Speaker, if you would indulge me for a little bit, I want to talk a little bit about this bill. It's gotten a lot of attention lately. But I think it's important that we understand what the focus is for this bill. Mr. Speaker, the time for action is now. SB 536 provides the opportunity to balance the scales of justice. This change is needed. There's no more waiting, no more excuses. The time to act is right now. Now, I know that I've received a lot of complaints. I know a lot of members have received a lot of complaints and concerns, opposition from the hospitals, maybe even some doctors, maybe even free clinics. But despite what you have heard, SB 536, it doesn't raise premiums on free clinics. It doesn't create a cap that is uninsurable for doctors and hospitals. I want to repeat that. It does not create a cap that is uninsurable for doctors and hospitals. They will be able to get insurance. In fact, there are 19 states, including New York, Pennsylvania, Minnesota, Kentucky, Arizona, and Arkansas, that have no medical malpractice cap at all. We're just raising ours to $6 million, but those states don't have a cap at all. And in those states, they have insurance. There's no crisis. They have coverage. They're open. They're thriving. With a $6 million cap that's before you, insurance will still be written, and the sky will not fall. Doctors will not be forced to leave Virginia. Hospitals not be forced to close simply by increasing our cap to a reasonable number. In fact, many doctors, nursing homes, and even some hospitals are not even opposing the bill and that reasonable cap increase it brings. They recognize that maintaining a hard total cap offers fairness, it offers predictability, it offers stability, And the proposed increase simply helps account for the increased cost of care over the years. Now, those remaining stakeholders that you've heard from that are working against this bill, they don't want to lose the deal that they've had over time. It's been really good for them. And they'd rather maintain the status quo where they don't have to bear the full responsibility of the harms that are created. Now, let me be really clear about this. We're not blind to the concerns of the medical community. We value our providers. We love our hospitals. We love our doctors. We want a stable insurance market for patient access. But I also want to be clear, this bill is a compromise. More than what some want, less than what others want. But it is reasonable, it is fair, and it provides predictability and stability for everyone. Over the last 50 years, Mr. Speaker, the cap has fallen well behind. It is out of balance, it inflicts further harm on the victims of medical negligence, and it shifts the consequences of causing harm from the wrongdoer to the victim, and then ultimately to all of us. People live in a lifetime of poverty because of the cap that's there. The people of the Commonwealth are covering, when your expenses, the cap can't cover, the settlement can't cover the amount of expenses, that forces people into poverty. It forces people into Medicaid. We, the people of the Commonwealth, are covering countless millions of dollars every year rather than the doctors or providers who cause the harm. The stories you're about to hear, and I want to tell you what this bill is about. I mentioned earlier that I want to put the focus on where it belongs. It is about the people that this is covering. The stories I'm about to tell you are real people, and they're real cases in Virginia. Imagine for a moment that you're worried, a parent of a 9-month-old baby who has a fever and is vomiting. I bet most of you have been in that situation. You do the right thing. You take your baby to the ER. You're reassured that it's nothing and you're sent home. Now imagine being back in the hospital ER just 24 hours later. Now your baby's having seizures and suffering strokes because of his treatable meningitis was missed the day before. Your baby's left with a weakness and partial paralysis and a condition that causes uncontrolled vomiting up to 40 or 50 times a day for weeks on end. He now lives with a gastric pacemaker that has to be surgically replaced every 2 years for the rest of his life. He's unable to attend school, be with his friends and other children. Your medical bills are $1.9 million, and the lifetime care of your son will exceed an additional $14 million. Your baby's life, your life, absolutely changed forever. The current cap of $2.5 million, that's not justice, Mr. Speaker. That's not even close. Or consider your neighbor, the hardworking 35-year-old mother of 2 young daughters who became a tetraplegic when the doctor pierced her spinal cord during a cervical injection. An outpatient procedure gone horribly wrong, caused by the medical expenses of more than $10 million in a lifetime spent without the use of her body from her shoulders down. Imagine a mother. She'll never hug her daughters again or dance at their weddings, walk with them down the aisle, dance with them, or even simple like braid their hair. Her justice? $2.5 million. That's what that family gets. Or how about your brother, who is 53 years old, had an endotracheal tube placed in his esophagus instead of his trachea where it was supposed to go. By the time the intubation error was caught, he had irreversible brain damage. Instead of going home to his family, he went to a nursing home where he has lived in a coma for the last 11 years. We're paying for those 11 years and the cost of his care for the rest of his life. Medicaid is paying. We all are, because his case was capped at a fraction of the cost of his care. Now, there are more. There are many, many more stories I could go through, Mr. Speaker. The cap has fallen so woefully behind. That $750,000 cap that was put in place in 1976, today it's worth more than $8 million. If it had just simply kept pace with the rising cost of medical goods and in services, inflation. But it hasn't. The cap has lagged. It's failed those whose lives are broken by medical negligence. And at the same time, the justice has gotten more and more out of reach for Virginians injured by negligence. Virginia's hospitals and hospital and practice groups count their revenues in the billions. And it's good to have healthy revenues for our hospitals. We want them to be successful. In 2024, the 5 largest hospitals in Virginia, individual hospitals, not hospital groups, had over $10 billion in net patient revenue. Some of the big names in Virginia that we all know and we've all heard from, HCA, Bon Secours, Centera, have billions of dollars in their coffers. The Doctors Company, probably the largest insurer out there in the entire country, the one that says that they can't insure Virginians if we were to pass this, they're insuring in those states that have no cap. They have over $8 billion in assets. But they can't take care of the people they hurt. That's not right. They should be held accountable the same way everyone else with. They need to be held accountable the same way everyone else. In conclusion, Mr. Speaker, I want everyone to know this isn't an attack on our doctors or our hospitals. It's a long, long overdue modernization of our laws. It balances the need for affordable premiums and patient access to care with the moral imperative to ensure a catastrophically injured child isn't forced onto Medicaid and a lifetime of poverty. These families are dealing with enough as it is. Mr. Speaker, I urge my colleagues to support this compromise that's before you today. Let's put the focus back on the patient where it belongs. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
The delegate from Sussex County, Delegate Waxman.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I rise to speak to the bill, please.
The delegate has the floor.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, in 1986, I was an intern here for one of the delegates in the General Assembly when they were starting to take the $1 million cap and put the inflator in it. And I will agree that it does not look like that inflationary component has kept up with inflation, because our inflation has been much higher than what we expected it was going to be in 1986. I'm very concerned about the cases that have been mentioned, plus so many others that I personally know where people were injured by accident and the insurance cap was exceeded. But, Mr. Speaker, I'm also worried about making sure that we have places for our patients and our constituents to go to. In this session of the General Assembly, as well as the other 4 that I've been involved in, we have done whatever we can to lessen some of the standards to get more healthcare providers into our state, because we've seen that those practicing outside of our state may have been there when they weren't able to practice here. We have a healthcare crisis. I represent a very rural area, and I am very concerned about the one hospital in my district, as well as one of those that's very next door to my district, because those 2 are some on the 6th that a year ago a lot of people were saying were on the list to close because of the Medicaid cuts. I'm already concerned about those possible closures. Now I'm even more concerned. I was receiving emails about the movement to increase the medical malpractice cap before I arrived at that session on January 14th. Then they were thinking it was going to be a lower limit. Recently, that cap has been more than doubled. I don't think that has given our providers the chance to really assess what's going to happen. I was speaking with one of the individual groups that the previous delegate mentioned about, saying you can't insure a $6 million cap, and he was told, I asked him that question, he told me they didn't offer that. I would have liked to have known more about those states without caps or higher caps before we got here today, but I was not made aware of those things, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I am just very, very concerned. I, as a pharmacist, had a malpractice policy of $1 million, $3 million. Fortunately, I never had to make a claim on that. But there was a national report in Texas while I was owning my store that really hit a large cap. And I asked my insurer to increase my cap to a $2 million, $5 million policy, which we did for 2 years. After that 2-year policy, I was informed by that insurance company that they would no longer honor that, so I had to go back to a 1-3. So I have experienced personally some of the difficulties that we have with getting these caps. And once again, Mr. Speaker, I am concerned to make sure that we've got healthcare providers there to take care of our patients. And one example is L&D. A lot of our rural hospitals no longer provide these services. And I remember when I was in pharmacy school in 1986, we were getting a lot of people not going into labor and delivery. And the reason that they would say was the medical malpractice caps were, they couldn't afford the coverage. So, Mr. Speaker, I will be voting against this bill. I want to keep our hospitals and healthcare providers there, and I hope that some of my colleagues will join me. Thank you.
The delegate from Scott County, Delegate Kilgore.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. A parliamentary inquiry.
The delegate has the floor.
Mr. Speaker, Senate Bill 536, when filed, it basically dealt with prejudgment interest, and now it raises the cap, the malpractice cap. So I asked the Speaker, does the substitute violate the single purpose rule?
The House will be at ease. House will come to order. From the ruling of the chair, it is germane. Thank you. The delegate from Falkirk County, Delegate Weber.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I would ask if Delegate Hope would yield for a question.
Would the delegate from Arlington yield for a question?
I yield.
The delegate will yield.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I would ask the delegate, what is the current cap? And then, if I may, just do a kind of a couple of questions together. And then we're extending the cap to $6 million. And then what is the expected rise with the formulation on the consumer price index? Because it's going to go up. So I guess my question is, we're going to start at 6. What is it currently? What are we jumping to? And then what is the expected rise over the coming years for the piece of legislation that he's proposing?
The delegate from Arlington, Delegate Hope.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I will respond to the gentleman. Line 42 is current law, July 1st of 2026 through July 30th of 2027. Currently, it's going to be $2.75 million. So starting in July, under current law, it's $2.75 million. This bill would reset that to start at $6 million. And it would provide that each subsequent 2-year intervals, the cap should be adjusted by annual percentage reflected in the medical care component published by the most recent CPI-U in the South region. So that's something that's controlled by the Department of Labor that we would adjust to every 2 years to meet inflation. And so they would rise in those 2-year intervals.
The delegate from Falkirk, Delegate Weber.
Yes, Mr. Speaker. Would the gentleman yield for one more question?
Would the delegate yield for an additional question?
I yield.
The delegate will yield.
Sorry. And then I guess my question, Mr. Speaker, is in Section 17. I do not have the bill line before me, but there is, in regards to nursing homes and the liability coverage, is there a reason why that section is struck out and the recovery limit set forth in is struck out and it's just $3 million?
Delegate from Arlington, Delegate Hope.
Mr. Speaker, I would respond to the gentleman that was part of the substitute agreement that we made with the nursing home. What he's referring to, nursing homes are required to maintain professional liability coverage in an amount of at least equal to $3 million per occurrence, as opposed to equal to medical malpractice recovery limits as required under current law. And so that was the agreement that we made. This is all part of a compromise. And I think that I've iterated that this is a compromise that's before you, and that was one of the compromise in the substitute.
I thank the gentleman.
The delegate from Patrick County, Delegate Williams.
Yes, Mr. Speaker, ask if the patron would yield for a question.
Would the delegate yield?
I yield.
The delegate will yield.
Not the patron, I'm sorry, the delegate. My question, because I understand the doctors and the hospitals and people that are doing some really heavy, surgery and stuff. I don't quite understand the why are marital counselors and stuff included, and is that going to cause them to have higher premiums or something? How are they impacted? These individual independent professionals.
Mr. Speaker, I would respond to the gentleman how insurance works is it's based on risk, and so I would suspect that the people that you would mention there, low risk type providers, would see absolutely no change. It's really the high risk more likely you're going to see the changes in their premiums. So dominant number of physicians out there that are practicing or providers out there will not see much of an impact, if at all. High risk, yes. Low risk, no.
Mr. Speaker, just a follow-up on that.
The delegate from Patrick, Delegate Williams.
So do they have to go to the $6 million, or can they stay lower? I don't know. I'm asking, do they have to go all the way to the $6 million policy, or can they get a smaller policy?
The delegate from Arlington, Delegate Hope.
I would say to the delegate that they could go lower. They could issue the premium would be, they have to go to $6 million, but the premium would be much lower because the expectation by the issuer of the insurance is it's low risk, and so they would never meet that threshold. Insurance is more about predictability than anything else, and you can predict with pretty good accuracy how much any type of claim would exceed the cap.
You're welcome. The delegate from Fairfax, Delegate Simon. Page's debate today.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Speaking to the bill.
The delegate has the floor.
Mr. Speaker, members of the House, I have rights to speak in favor of this bill. We've heard some of the potential negative consequences, and I'll say I am sympathetic to hospitals that are, particularly rural hospitals, that are being terribly affected by H.R. 1, right? I think the Trump administration and the Republicans in Congress did a real disservice by passing the big, beautiful bill, as they called it, but it's really disrupting health care services. But that can't be an excuse to not take care of people that have been injured by medical negligence and to put the burden for all of that on people that have been hurt through no fault of their own, doing the thing that they want to, going to the medical facility that they trust, and having things go wrong. And mistakes are made. You know, every profession, in every line of work, in every occupation, things go wrong and mistakes happen sometimes. But you know, one of the principles of malpractice cases and in tort law and everything generally is to put the risk for when things go wrong on the people that are in the best position to prevent that risk. Right now we have a system where all that risk lies with the injured person and their family. Right? What do we do now when somebody's injuries, a child injured at birth who's going to have a lifetime of medical needs forever and ever, be burned through the $2.5 million the first 6 months, the first year? What happens to that family next under the current system? Right? Once you hit that cap, you essentially have to make yourself destitute so that you qualify for Medicaid coverage. Right? And all of us pay for that through taxes, through Medicaid assistance, and all these other things. Why in the world would we want to make those folks the folks that bear the burden and share all that risk when we have an opportunity to balance that out a little bit? You know, frankly, Mr. Speaker, I prefer that we let the cap expire and that we let the market take care of it, and we let the risk fall, you know, on what people's actual economic damages are, what their actual pain and suffering is. But this is a compromise. Not everybody gets everything they want out of it. I think it gets us to the right number. I think that it's telling that the Medical Society of Virginia was there and supports this bill, as to do the trial lawyers. I mean, getting these two groups together to agree on something like this, I think it's a big achievement. I think that it's a good bill. I hope that it'll be the pleasure of the body to pass the bill. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Shall the bill pass? Clerk will close the roll.
Ayes 53, noes 43.
Ayes 53, noes 43. The bill passes.
Continuing with third reading regular Senate Bill 47, at the bottom of page 13, is legislation seeks to amend and reenact Sections of the Code of Virginia related to impersonation of a law enforcement officer while committing additional act penalties. Legislation for the Committee of Courts of Justice, amendment named substitute report by the Committee on Appropriations.
Delegate from Fairfax, Delegate Simon.
Mr. Speaker, given that we do have the page debate this afternoon, and we have other folks that need to use this chamber, and the lengthy debates we've had, we have some other House bills to get through. I would move that we take House Bill 47 through the end of the House bills on third reading regular calendar. So House Bill 47 on page 13 through Senate Bill 47 on page 13 through Senate Bill 823 on page 18 by for the day, so we can move the calendar along and make sure we get out of here in time for the pages.
Without objection, those bills that's listed on pages 13 through 18 are by for the day.
Accordingly, Mr. Speaker, members of the House, we come now to a new category, House bills with Senate amendments. House bills with Senate amendments, 3 dozen or so in there, beginning on page 18, Delegate Hope's House Bill 481, which is legislation relating to prior authorization requiring physician review for denial. Legislation passed the House, passed the Senate with substitute, which is before you.
The delegate from Arlington, Delegate Hope.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I'm going to ask the body to adopt the Senate substitute. It just makes technical changes to the bill. This bill, just a reminder, requires prior authorization. Whenever you ask for authorization for a specific service, you have to call and get approval and make sure if there's a denial that a physician is the one that's making that decision and not someone else. That's not trained. And so the changes that are before you are technical, and so I'd move the body adopt the Senate substitute.
Shall the Senate substitute be adopted? Clerk will close the roll.
Ayes 98, noes 1.
Ayes 98, noes 1. The Senate substitute is adopted.
House Bill 16 relates to community service work in lieu of payment of fines and costs, work performed while incarcerated. Legislation passed the House, passed Senate with amendments which are before you.
Delegate from Newport News, Delegate Price.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. House Bill 16 would allow for work while incarcerated to be used to offset court debt retroactively to 2023. It passed the House 72-25. The Senate amendments are technical and clarify that this applies to local, regional, and state correctional facilities, and a technical change in how we categorize work before or after incarceration, and then referring to code that defines the work during incarceration that counts for this purpose. I move that we would accept the Senate amendments.
Shall the Senate amendment be adopted? Clerk will close the roll.
Ayes 79, noes 20.
Ayes 79, noes 20. The Senate amendment is adopted.
We come next to House Bill 34, which relates to Virginia Military Forces Sexual Offense Prevention and Response Program established. Report. Legislation passed the House, passed Senate with substitute, which is before you.
Delegate from Fredericksburg, Delegate Cole.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Speaking to the Senate substitute, over in the Senate, they turned the bill into a study, and I believe because the work of this bill is so important, I'm going to reluctantly ask that we accept the Senate substitute.
Shall the Senate substitute be adopted? Clerk will close the roll.
Ayes 67, noes 31.
Ayes 67, noes 31. The Senate substitute is adopted.
House Bill 39 is legislation that relates to duty of settlement agent restrict covenants. Legislation passed the House, passed Senate with amendments, and Senate amendments before you.
The delegate from Fairfax, Delegate Simon.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, members of the House. So this bill, if you may recall, requires settlement agents to provide purchasers the notice of their opportunity to remove illegal, restrictive racial covenants and so forth. The amendments are technical in nature. They correct the code references to the code that gives those folks the authority to do that. I hope it's the pleasure of the body to accept the Senate amendments. I move the Senate amendments.
Shall the Senate amendments be adopted? Clerk will close the roll.
Ayes 99, no 0.
Ayes 99, no 0. The Senate amendment is adopted.
Over on page 20, we come to House Bill 122, which relates to manufacture or sale of cosmetic products containing certain ingredients prohibited. Legislation passed the House, passed Senate with amendments, and now those Senate amendments before you.
Delegate from Fairfax, Delegate Keys-Gamarra.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. House Bill 122, as you may recall, is prohibiting certain toxic items in cosmetics. The amendments in the Senate were proposed by me, so I will be suggesting that we accept them. And there's also a technical amendment adding a semicolon. The particular language is dealing with retailers that knowingly sell items. They will be prohibited from doing so. And the second thing has to do with allowing them to sell off their current stock by July 1st, 2026. I move that we accept the amendments. Thank you.
Shall the Senate amendment be adopted? Clerk will close the roll.
Ayes 73, noes 26.
Ayes 73, noes 26. The Senate amendment is adopted.
Over on page 21, we come to House Bill 129 relating to killing of deer, damaging residential plants, and certain property. Legislation passed the House, passed Senate with substitute, which is before you.
The delegate from Grayson County, Delegate Cornett.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. The Senate substitute makes only minor clarifying changes to the bill. It specifies that agricultural damage provisions apply only to horticultural crops, and it adds some language ensuring that individuals whose hunting privileges are suspended, they cannot participate in carrying out this kill permit. So the goal and the intent of the bill is all still the same, and I would move that the House agree and vote yes to the Senate substitute.
Poor Bambi. Shall the Senate substitute be adopted?
Bambi must die.
Oh, the clerk will close the roll.
Ayes 91, noes 8.
Ayes 91, Bambi 8. The bill passed. The Senate substitute is adopted.
House Bill 173 relates to state correctional facilities, visitation policies, annual report. Legislation passed the House, passed Senate with substitute, which is before you.
Delegate from Norfolk, Delegate Anthony.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. In order to get this bill in the proper posture, I have to do two motions. The first, I need to move that the House reject the Senate Finance and Appropriations Committee substitute and vote no. The Senate Finance and Appropriations Committee conformed our bill to Senate Bill 276.
House Bill 173.
You're going to accept the substitute
House
or you're
bill.
going to reject it?
House Bill 173.
We're going to reject the Senate substitute.
Okay.
And send it to conference. And I would
Okay,
like the
shall the
members to
Senate
vote
substitute
no.
be adopted?
Works for me. Bambi's not the only thing dying.
Clerk will close the roll.
Ayes 2, noes 97.
Ayes 2, noes 97. The Senate substitute is rejected.
Now we come to House Bill 178, which relates to public schools, student support agencies, memorandum of understanding. Legislation passed the House, passed Senate with substitute. Senate substitute is to House Bill 178. It's now before you.
Delegate from Norfolk, Delegate Anthony.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I move that the House reject the Senate substitute and vote no. And speaking to that motion.
The delegate has the floor.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. The Senate substitute converts this bill into a Section 1 study, directing the Department of Education to assess the development of a certification program. We want to go put this bill into conference in order which we do all of that in a better way. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Shall the Senate substitute be adopted? Clerk will close the roll.
Ayes 0, noes 99.
Ayes 0, noes 99. The Senate substitute is rejected.
House Bill 199, now before you, relates to the Board of Education through-year growth assessment system alternatives during 2024-2025 through 2027-28 school years. Legislation passed the House, passed Senate with substitute, which is before you.
The delegate from Roanoke City, Delegate Rasool.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. House Bill 199 sought to extend the time permitted to have a waiver for these local through-year growth assessments. The Senate substitute now even goes a step further, which we like, which says that certain growth assessments are no longer needed, actually probably ending up to save us a couple $1 million. I hope it be the pleasure of the body to vote green and pass the Senate substitute.
Shall the Senate substitute be agreed to? Clerk will close the roll.
Ayes 91, no 6.
Ayes 91, no 6. The Senate substitute is agreed to.
Over on page 22, we come to House Bill 237, which relates to Virginia Coastal Resilience Master Plan. Legislation passed the House, passed Senate with amendment. The Senate amendment is before you.
Delegate from Arlington, Delegate Lopez.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. This bill requires the Virginia Coastal Master Plan to identify areas where marshes may migrate in the face of sea level rise. The amendment from the Senate is very technical in nature. I move that we pass the amendment.
Shall the Senate amendment be adopted? Clerk will close the roll.
Ayes 99, no 0.
Ayes 99, no 0. The Senate amendment is adopted.
House Bill 299 is legislation relating to the Board of Education. Standards of learning assessments and related assessment methods. Development, administration, scoring, and release. Legislation passed the House, passed Senate with substitute. That is now before you.
Delegate from Fairfax, Delegate Hamlin.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I move the Senate amendments and speaking to that motion.
Delegate has the floor.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. The amendments to this bill are just technical in nature, and the bill remains more or less in the same posture as it left the House. I hope we will accept the Senate amendments.
Shall the Senate substitute be adopted? Clerk will close the roll.
Ayes 90, noes 8.
Ayes 90, noes 8. The Senate substitute is adopted.
House Bill 308 relates to the Virginia Alcoholic Beverage Control Authority, permitting of retail tobacco product retailers purchase, possession, and sale of tobacco products and penalties. Butchered that one, sorry. Legislation passed the House, passed the Senate with substitute, which is before you.
Delegate from Arlington, Delegate Hope.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I'm going to move that the body reject the Senate substitute. We still have more work to do in conference, so again, my motion to reject the Senate substitute.
Shall the Senate substitute be adopted? Clerk, close the roll.
Ayes 2, no. Ayes 1, noes 97.
Ayes 1, noes 97. The Senate substitute is rejected.
Over on page 23, we come to House Bill 329, which relates to Virginia Residential Landlord and Tenant Act, Manufactured Home Lot Rental Act, Retaliatory Conduct Prohibited. Legislation passed the House, passed Senate with amendment, which is before you.
Delegate from Arlington, Delegate McClure.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, as a reminder, HB 329 strengthens protections for tenants who are facing retaliation from their landlord. The Senate amendment for HB 329 simply added a delayed enactment. Mr. Speaker, I move that the House agree to the Senate amendment and ask that the body vote yes.
Shall the Senate amendment be adopted? What about housing? Clerk will close the roll.
Ayes 79, noes 20.
Ayes 79, noes 20. The Senate amendment is adopted.
Next up is House Bill 379, which is legislation related to the Virginia Residential Landlord and Tenant Act, application, notice, deposit, fee, and additional information. Legislation passed the House, passed Senate with substitute.
Delegate from Alexandria, Delegate McPike.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I move the Senate substitute to House Bill 379 and request to speak to the motion.
The delegate has the floor.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. House Bill 379 is a bill by my predecessor, former delegate, now Senator Bennett Parker, which deals with the rental application process and which passed the House on February 16th. The Senate removed the section of the bill which provided for limits on and the refund of application fees and referred those provisions to the Housing Commission while retaining the enhanced transparency requirements related to application fees and eligibility and adding a delayed enactment clause of January 1, 2027. I move that the House agree to the Senate substitute to House Bill 379 and ask the members vote aye.
The delegate from Fairfax, Delegate Simon.
Mr. Speaker, will the delegate yield for a question?
But the delegate yield.
I am not certain that it's in my best interest, but yes, Mr. Speaker, I will yield.
Another bad decision. The delegate from Fairfax, Delegate Simon.
Mr. Speaker, I'd ask the delegate if he spoke to the chairman of the House Housing Subcommittee, which initially heard this bill, to discuss these changes before he made a decision on what his recommendation on the Senate action would be.
I had spoken about the fact that I'd be presenting this bill with you a while back.
The delegate speaks to the Speaker.
I refer this to you, yes. Mr. Speaker, I spoke with the chair of the General Laws Committee this morning, and I spoke with the chair of the subcommittee about this bill in general a few days ago, but I did not speak about the exact motion that Senator Bennett Parker and I had discussed. No, that is a definite mistake on my part, Mr. Speaker.
Mr. Speaker.
Not really. The delegate from Fairfax, Delegate Simon.
Mr. Speaker, will the delegate yield for an additional question?
Will the delegate yield for an additional question?
Yes, Mr. Speaker.
Mr. Speaker, I would ask the delegate if he wouldn't agree that stripping out all the really important consumer protections from the bill, to have those sent to the Housing Commission, and then slapping a delayed enactment on this bill wouldn't in fact accurately be described as gutting Senator Parker's very good consumer-friendly, consumer-forward bill.
The delegate from Alexandria, Delegate McPike.
Mr. Speaker, I am certain that Delegate Bennett Parker would agree with that. I'm not certain Senator Bennett Parker would agree with that. And I feel what we have here is another example of the failures of bicameralism.
Yeah.
Mr. Speaker, I thank the delegate.
Shall the bill pass? Shall the Senate substitute be adopted? Clerk will close the roll.
Ayes 62, noes 35.
Ayes 62, noes 35. The Senate substitute is adopted.
Now we come to House Bill 410, which relates to school boards participation in SAT school day program required. Student participation. Legislation passed the House, passed Senate with substitute, which is before you.
The delegate from Loudoun County, Delegate Reed.
Yes, Mr. Speaker, House Bill 410 passed this body by a vote of 88 to 8, and what the Senate did is on line 19 and 20, they added in a clause that said to the extent possible that the school board should also offer the SAT day on the same day that they're doing the PSAT. So I move the Senate substitute and ask the body to vote yes.
Shall the Senate substitute be adopted? Clerk will close the roll.
Ayes 85, noes 12.
Ayes 85, noes 12. The Senate substitute is adopted.
We come next to House Bill 413. House Bill 413, which relates to the Board of Education, Board of Nursing, High School Certified Nursing Aid Training and Certification Program established. Requirements report. Legislation passed the House, passed Senate with substitute, which is now before you.
The delegate for Prince William, Delegate Guzman.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. House Bill 413 establishes the High School Certified Nurse Aid Training and Certification Program, and I would like to move the Senate substitute and ask the body to vote yes. This just is a spelling correction throughout the bill, so I hope everybody supports it. Please vote yes.
Shall the Senate substitute be adopted? Clerk will close the roll.
Ayes 98, noes 0.
Ayes 98, noes 0. The Senate substitute is adopted.
Over on page 24, we come to Delegate Thornton's House Bill 529, relating to suicide prevention program created. Deaths by suicide of veterans or military service members. Inquiry by State Registrar of Vital Records, Department of Veterans Services, annual report. Legislation passed the House, passed Senate with substitute, which is before you now.
Delegate from Hampton, Delegate Thornton.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. HB 529 would codify veteran service prevention, suicide prevention programs into law. The Senate amendment clarifies some language to avoid fiscal impact. Mr. Speaker, I move that the House agree to the Senate amendment.
Shall the Senate substitute be adopted? Clerk will close the roll.
Ayes 99, noes 0.
Ayes 99, noes 0. The Senate substitute is adopted.
Next up, we come to House Bill 677, which relates to residential property owners, insurance policies, roofing services by contractors, prohibited practices, and consumer protection. Legislation passed the House, passed Senate with amendment. Senate amendments before you.
Delegate from Prince William, Delegate Maldonado.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I move the Senate that we adopt the Senate amendment. And speaking to that motion. So,
shall the Senate amendment be adopted?
Mr. Speaker, I move that we adopt the Senate amendment, but would like to speak to that motion.
Of course you would. The delegate has the floor.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, the Senate amendment is a very simple one. It simply adopts and brings in the Attorney General's edit to change the standard of intent. So we keep the willful language, but we remove the intent to defraud, injure, or deceive. Mr. Speaker, I move that the House agree to the Senate amendment and vote yes.
Shall the Senate amendment be adopted? Clerk will close the vote.
Ayes 95, noes 4.
Ayes 95, noes 4. The Senate amendment is adopted.
Next, we come to House Bill 746, which relates to physician assistants, authorization to practice without a practice agreement. Legislation passed the House, passed Senate with amendment, and that Senate amendment is before you.
Delegate from Prince William, Delegate Henson.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, House Bill 746 allows a physician assistant after 3 years of full-time clinical practice to practice without a practice agreement. With the amendment from the Senate, the bill also requires the Virginia Board of Medicine to promulgate more detailed regulations establishing the scope of practice for physician assistants who qualify. The bill would not take effect until those regulations are issued. Mr. Speaker, I move the Senate amendment and ask that we adopt it.
Shall the Senate amendment be adopted? Clerk will close the roll.
Ayes 99, no, 0.
Ayes 99, no, 0. The Senate amendment is adopted.
Over on page 25, House Bills with Senate amendments, we come to House Bill 749, legislation relating to fertilizer and lime permit requirements. Legislation passed the House, passed Senate with amendment. Senate amendments before you.
Delegate from Rockingham, Delegate Runyon.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I move the House agree to the Senate amendment, and I wish to speak to that motion
delegate has the
briefly.
floor.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Senate amendment makes a technical change to correct industry terminology. I move we agree with the Senate amendment.
Shall the Senate amendment be adopted? Clerk will close the roll.
Ayes 99, no, 0.
Ayes 99, no, 0. The Senate amendment is adopted.
House Bill 797 relates to the Virginia Information Technology Agency Artificial Intelligence Independent Verification Organizations. Legislation passed the House, passed the Senate with a substitute, and that Senate substitute is before you.
The delegate from Chesapeake, Delegate Hayes.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. House Bill 797 directs the Joint Commission on Technology and Science to evaluate the feasibility and impact of developing a framework for independent verification organizations and report the findings to both the House and the Senate. The bill passed this body 79 to 19. The Senate amendments change it to a Section 1 bill, and I move that the House accept the Senate amendments.
Shall the Senate substitute be adopted? Clerk will close the roll.
Ayes 84, noes 14.
Ayes 84, noes 14. The Senate substitute is adopted.
Over on page 26, we come to House Bill 820, which relates to Virginia Housing Revolving Loan Fund Established Report. Legislation passed the House, passed Senate with substitute, which is before you now.
The delegate from Fairfax, Delegate Hellman.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, House Bill 820, as amended by the Senate, is with the Senate substitute, has a different amount than we have in it from the budget. So we've got to wait for the budget conference. So I'm going to move the Senate substitute, and I hope we will reject that motion.
Shall the Senate substitute be adopted?
No.
Clerk will close the roll.
Ayes 3, noes 95.
Ayes 3, noes 95. The Senate substitute is rejected.
House Bill 859, now before you, relates to the Department of Education Farm to School Program Task Force Membership Requirements Report. Legislation passed the House, passed Senate with substitute, which is before you.
That's from Richmond City, Delegate Cousins.
Thank you. HB 859 amends the composition of the Virginia Farm to School Task Force. This bill passed the House unanimously, after which a fiscal impact applied to the bill, and so the substitute removes the enactment clause requiring a report from the task force and clarifies that the department may add members to the task force as it deems necessary. This also removes the fiscal impact. Mr. Speaker, I move that the House agree to the Senate substitute.
Shall the Senate substitute be agreed to? Clerk will close the roll.
Ayes 98, noes 1.
Ayes 98, noes 1. The Senate substitute is agreed to.
House Bill 888 relates to off-street, minimum off-street parking requirements in certain areas. Legislation passed the House, passed Senate with a substitute, which is now before you.
Delegate from Fairfax, Delegate Shin.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I move the Senate substitute in speaking to that motion.
Delegate has the floor.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. As a reminder, House Bill 888 seeks to address the supply side of our housing crisis by lowering parking requirements in designated areas where residents have access to public transit. The Senate substitute narrows the applicability from parcels within 1 mile down to just a half mile from the entrance to a mass transit or public transportation station or facility. And we also added some clarifying language around density thresholds, as well as how this provision might apply to affordable dwelling unit ordinances. We also made additional amendments around on-demand micro-transit stops and clarifying that it's different from fixed route transits, as well as including a definition for bus rapid transit. And we also believe that this now will provide more flexibility for large, dense communities to maintain parking standards that they've already established near those routes. Mr. Speaker, I move that we adopt the Senate substitute.
Shall the Senate substitute be adopted? Clerk will close the roll.
Ayes 62, noes 37.
Ayes 62, noes 37. The Senate substitute is adopted.
Next up, we come to House Bill 931, which relates to recovery residences regulations. Legislation passed the House, passed Senate with substitute, which is before you.
The delegate from Fairfax, Delegate Simon.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Speaker, members of the House. This bill continues to be a work in progress. We're getting very close, but there's still some changes that need to be worked out between the two chambers. So I move the Senate substitute and ask the members to vote no so that we can get this bill into conference.
Shall the Senate substitute be adopted? Clerk will close the roll.
Ayes 2, noes 97.
Ayes 2, noes 97. The Senate substitute is rejected.
Over on page 27, we come to House Bill 1041, relating to the Department of Corrections, establishment of general system of schools for incarcerated individuals. Virginia Prison Education Task Force established. Report. Legislation reported committee. Legislation passed originally. The House subsequently passed Senate with a substitute, which is before you now.
Delegate from Richmond City, Delegate Carr.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. HB 1041 advances our educational offerings in the correction system. The Senate substitute made several changes to reduce potential near-term costs. However, it missed a minor but key technical change. I move the Senate substitute with the recommendation that we reject it, voting no, so we can make the appropriate correction in conference.
Shall the Senate substitute be adopted? Clerk will close the roll.
Ayes 1, noes 98.
Ayes 1, noes 98. The Senate substitute is rejected.
House Bill 1043, now before you, would direct the Department of Housing and Community Development to notify applicants of awards and denials under the Affordable and Special Needs Housing Program and the Virginia Housing Trust Fund Homeless Reduction Grant Program. Legislation passed the House, passed Senate with substitute, which is before you.
Delegate from Richmond City, Delegate Carr.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. HB 1043 requires the Department of Housing and Community Development to notify applicants of the Virginia Housing Trust Fund with a reasonable timeline. The bill picked up a minor tweak in the Senate at the request of the administration, changing 75 days to 90 days and then sunsetting the provision after DHCD has convened stakeholders to establish a workable timeline moving forward. I would move the Senate substitute, and I ask that we accept it by voting yes.
Shall the Senate substitute be adopted? Clerk will close the roll.
Ayes 99, noes 0.
Ayes 99, noes 0. Senate substitute is adopted.
Next up, we come to House Bill 1100, relating to wage garnishments, treasurer's liens for unpaid taxes and charges. Legislation passed the House, passed the Senate with a substitute, which is before you.
Delegate from Norfolk, Delegate Hernandez.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. As a reminder, this is a consumer protection bill. Right now, under current law, when someone gets a treasurer's lien, 100% of their wages can be taken. This bill establishes a 25% cap. When it went over to the Senate, their substitute includes stronger provisions for workers with the lowest wages. So basically, they're exempt if they earn equal to or less than 40 times the Virginia minimum wage. So with that, I would move the Senate substitute and ask that we adopt it.
Shall the Senate substitute be adopted? Clerk will close the roll.
Ayes 78, noes 19.
Ayes 78, noes 19. The Senate substitute is adopted.
House Bill 1186 would require the Department of Education to collect information on the use of artificial intelligence systems for student instruction in each local school division and any school board policies governing such use. Report. Legislation passed the House, passed Senate with a substitute, which is before you.
Delegate from Roanoke City, Delegate Russell.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. House Bill 1186 had to do with collecting information on the use of AI. The Senate has a substitute that's gone too far. I renew the delegate from Alexandria's call for unicameralism, Mr. Speaker, and vote no.
Shall the Senate substitute be adopted? Clerk, close the roll.
Ayes 0, noes 99.
Ayes 0, noes 99. The substitute is rejected.
Over on page 28, we come to House Bill 1207 relating to paid family and medical leave insurance program. Notice requirements, civil action. Legislation originally passed the House, subsequently passed Senate with substitute, and that Senate substitute is now before you.
The delegate from Prince William, Delegate Sewell.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. The bill with Senate substitute fails to place the bill in an identical posture to the Senate cognate. So I move the Senate substitute and ask the House to reject the motion.
Shall the Senate substitute be adopted? Clerk will close the roll.
Ayes 0, noes 99.
Ayes 0, noes 99. The Senate substitute is rejected.
Next up, House Bill 1301, which relates to school boards, student diabetes care, and management in schools, division-wide plan required. Legislation passed the House, passed the Senate with substitute, and that Senate substitute is before you.
Delegate from Prince William, Delegate Thomas.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, the Senate substitute creates some disparities with the House version regarding certain implementation deadlines and training, so I move the Senate substitute and ask that my colleagues reject it and send it to conference.
Shall the Senate substitute be adopted?
Broke. Okay, thank you. It came unstapled or something.
Clerk will close the roll.
Ayes 0, noes 99.
Ayes 0, noes 99. The Senate substitute is rejected.
House Bill 1325, now before you, relates to Manufactured Home Lot Rental Act, landlord obligations. Legislation passed the House, passed the Senate with amendments. Senate amendments are before you now.
Delegate from Prince William, Delegate Maldonado.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I move the Senate amendments. Speaking to that motion.
The delegate has the floor.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, the amendments are technical in nature, changing commas and inserting the words and removing a section that references other code sections to help get it into alignment with another bill that passed out addressing the similar mobile home community. This bill, HB 1325, again, helps to make sure that our renters and mobile communities have the proper fee disclosures and also information about flood insurance that may help them. So, Mr. Speaker, I ask that the House agree to the Senate amendments and vote yes.
Shall the Senate amendment be adopted? Clerk will close the roll.
Ayes 79, noes 19.
Ayes 79, noes 19. The Senate amendments are adopted.
Over on page 29, we come to House Bill 1334, which relates to militia state active duty cyber-related support. Legislation passed the House, subsequently passed Senate with amendments, and they are now before you.
Delegate from Virginia Beach, Delegate Fagans.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. These are technical amendments that fix a drafting error that changes the number 6 to a 7, and the bill ensures that our Virginia National Guard will now be authorized to respond to cyber incidents as they do for other state emergencies. I move that the Senate amendment and ask that we adopt it and vote yes.
Shall the Senate amendment be adopted? Clerk will close the roll.
Ayes 98, noes 0.
Ayes 98, noes 0. The Senate amendment is adopted.
And turning to page 30, we come to the last bill in this category of House bills with Senate amendments, which is House Bill 1518, which would direct the Department of Professional and Occupational Regulation to conduct a comprehensive review of statutory language regarding required disclosures for a buyer to beware or exercise necessary due diligence. Report. Legislation passed the House, subsequently passed Senate with substitute, which is now before you.
Delegate from Virginia Beach, Delegate Converse Fowler.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I want to move the Senate substitute and request that we accept it, and I would like to speak briefly to that motion.
The delegate has the floor.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. The Senate substitute simply changes the work group oversight from the Virginia Housing, from DPOR to the Virginia Housing Commission. So I would ask, Mr. Speaker, that we move the Senate substitute, and I ask that we vote yes, please.
Shall the Senate substitute be adopted? Yeah. Clerk, close the roll.
Ayes 95, noes 3.
Ayes 95, noes 3. The Senate substitute is adopted.
Right. Continuing with today's calendar, we come to a new category of memorial resolutions laid on the Speaker's table. Page 30 of the printed calendar. Memorial resolutions to be adopted in block are listed on pages 30 through 33, with the exception of House Resolution 170, House Joint Resolution 170, HJR 231, as well as HR 224 and 273. Everything else is in the block.
All those in favor of adopting the memorial resolutions laid on Speaker's table as listed on pages 30 through 33, with the exception of those announced by the calendar, will rise. The resolution is agreed to.
Next category, commending resolutions laid on the Speaker's table. The commending resolutions to be adopted in block are listed on pages 33 through 45 of today's calendar, with the exception of House Resolution 206, 210, 235, as well as HJR 267, HJR 285, House Resolution 305, House Resolution 321, House Resolution 328, and House Resolution 355. All the rest of those spread across pages 33 through 45 are in the block.
The delegate from Richmond City, Henrico, Delegate McQuinn.
All of that. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I ask that on page 33, H.R. 194 will go by for the day. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Without objection, House Resolution 194 goes by for the day. Delegate from Norfolk, Delegate Glass.
Gratitude, Mr. Speaker. I rise for a motion.
The delegate has the floor.
Gratitude, Mr. Speaker. I move that House Joint Resolution 311 on page 39 go by for the day.
Without exception, House Joint Resolution 39 goes by for the day.
What number?
I said the wrong number. Okay. All those in favor of adopting the commending resolution laid on the Speaker's table, found on pages 33 through 35, with the exception of those removed from the block of the printed calendar, will say aye. Aye. Those opposed, no. The resolutions are agreed to.
Mr. Speaker, the next category on page 46, we begin House bills in conference. The next category after that, Senate bills in conference. We have two, one in each category. So a conference report has been received on page 49, if you're following along that way, or in IHOD. The bill before you now is House Bill 625, a conference report for 625, House Bill 625, which relates to health insurance, limit on cost-sharing payments for prescription drugs under certain plans. Conference report is available to the members via IHOD, to the public on the Legislative Information System, and so therefore it's now before you.
The delegate from Prince William, Delegate Henson.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. The clerk explained the bill, and what we did in conference, we changed the cost-sharing payment at each metal level. So platinum level, 150 per 30-day supply, gold level, 200 per 30-day supply, 250 for silver, and 300 for bronze, with a delayed and effective date. Mr. Speaker, I move the conference report and ask that we adopt it.
Shall the conference report be adopted? Clerk will close the roll.
Ayes 63, noes 33.
Ayes 63, noes 33. The conference report is adopted.
And then finally, over on page 55, this will sound familiar, the conference report is received for Senate Bill 161. This conference report, again, relates to health insurance, limit on cost-sharing payments for prescription drugs under certain plans. Conference report is available to the members here in the chamber, to the public at large, and is therefore now before the body.
Delegate for Prince William, Delegate Henson.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Deja vu, we heard it before. I move the conference report and ask that we adopt it.
Shall the conference report be adopted? Clerk will close the roll.
Ayes 64, noes 33.
Ayes 64, noes 33. The conference report is adopted.
Mr. Speaker, that is all the conference reports or stuff that I have.
Mr. Speaker.
Delegate from Fairfax, Delegate Simon.
Mr. Speaker, having voted on the prevailing side by which we adopted HJR 280 on page 31 of the calendar, I move that we reconsider that vote so that we can take that resolution by until Thursday for a center aisle presentation.
House Joint Resolution 280 on what page?
On page 31 of the calendar.
The delegate from Fairfax, Delegate Simon, moves that having voted on the prevailing side by which we passed House Joint Resolution 280, acts that found on page 31, asks that we reconsider that vote so that bill may be taken by until
Thursday, March 12th.
March 12th. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, no. The bill is by until March 12th.
Do we need to do a separate motion for that, Mr. Speaker?
Oh, got to be considered.
So, Mr. Speaker, I move that we take HJR 280 by until March the 12th.
Oh, new motion. Without objection, House Joint Resolution 280 is by until March 12th.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Mr. Speaker, that completes the business before the body.
Per House Rule 51, the House has returned to the morning hour. Does the clerk have any additional announcements or communication?
Just several announcements that this afternoon, with yesterday's deadline pursuant to House Joint Resolution 29, the procedural resolutions, there's no more committee meetings. I would simply remind the body that requests for drafts, redrafts, and corrections for single House committee memorial resolutions need to be over to DLS by 5 today, and then Thursday's the deadline to introduce single only HRs. Yesterday's was the HJ. We also have, Mr. Speaker, I sent out a communication to the body earlier this morning about House Rule 82 and the House Chambers, so I would commend that to your attention. And then finally, in about an hour, we will begin here in the House Chamber for the House Page debate. I appreciate the bodies working with us. For those members who would like to perform the function of pages, just show up and we will put you to work. And we appreciate your assistance. That'll last about an hour and a half, no more than 2. And with that, that's all the announcements I have.
Delegate from Alexandria, Delegate Herring.
Mr. Speaker, I move that when the House adjourned today, adjourn to reconvene tomorrow at 11 a.m.
Delegate from Alexandria, Delegate Herring moves that when the House adjourns today, it adjourns to reconvene tomorrow at 11 a.m. As many in favor of the motion will say aye. Those opposed, no. The motion is agreed to. The delegate from Alexandria, Delegate Herring.
Mr. Speaker, I move that the House do now adjourn.
Delegate from Alexandria, Delegate Herring moves that the House do now adjourn. As many in favor of the motion will say aye. Those opposed, no. The motion is agreed to. The House turns adjourned until tomorrow at 11 a.m.